say, you got to earn your liberation. Say, Coney, you got to earn your liberation. People will watch, like, people ask for me this round. Like it, yo, all the garments, pulse up, earn your liberation.
Ooh, yes. What's up, world? Welcome to another edition of Earn Your Liberation right here on BPM. Geechee Y'all, Jared Ball in the building. Greetings, everyone. Of course, Diallo missed the launch of the new intro.
Yeah, that was a surprise. Thanks.
I had a little surprise for everybody, and he didn't show up. But on this very special occasion, there's really no time to stand on ceremony, not even for him. So hopefully Diallo will get here. We have a full show. A number of guests are expected to join us, and we'll get to them right away because this is a big weekend. Mumia Abu-Jamal turns 70 and is still in need of not only obviously the basics of some decent health care and treatment and love and support, but freedom. So we're going to have to, now Diallo's joining us. Diallo, you missed it, man. I got to run it back, man.
What?
You missed the new intro, man.
Oh, can I see it?
Let's run it back for Diallo.
For the
Devo himself.
Just say, you got to earn your liberation. Say, Coney, you got to earn your liberation. People will watch, like, people ask for me this round. Like it, yo, all the garments, pulse up, earn your liberation.
And now we lost Geechee.
No, man, I had to switch my little joint. Yeah, that's nice, man. Who that? That sounds like Richard Raw, but I don't think that's him.
I know who it sounds like, but it sounds like a number of people. It's AI, man.
Oh,
AI
shit.
did that. AI did that whole thing, and I got a surprise on the outro too. AI. Yeah, it's a world takeover.
Wait.
Yeah,
AI. So
AI did that. You go, and I'll even tell you because I got it from RM Brown. And if you go to udio.com, udio.com, for while it's still in beta, it's all free, and you can. It does a lot. It's wild. I'm not lying, Maria.
Well, maybe that's the thing that you was talking about, infringement, because that is somebody's voice, and it does sound like my guy Richard Raw from Delaware. And
the one I did for I Mix What I Like, it sounds like Pete Rock produced it. I'm not even playing. So I mean, it's a little spooky, but the joint is fly. And wait till we hear the outro. I got a surprise on the outro. But listen, I don't know if one of our guests is here, and I feel like she's certainly strong enough to go solo. While we wait for others. So I think we should go ahead and get to it because there's big things happening in Philly this weekend. Mumia is still, of course, in need of getting free. And one of our guests joining us this morning, Noel Hanrahan, among many other things, is the founder of prisonradio.org. The link is in the show description. And is a Mumia attorney fighting to get him adequate rehabilitation and diet after his open heart surgery last year. Noel, welcome back to the platform. It's good to see you again. Hope you are at least relatively well. And I will correct the typo on your name in the show description that I just noticed.
No, it's all good. That's what's on my license. So I use Noel so people pronounce it right.
Oh, peace to you, Noel. How you doing?
Oh, okay. All right. Right
I
on.
use it both ways, so.
Okay. All right. So we are expecting a couple others to join us, and when they get here, we'll welcome them. But why don't we have you? I'm not entirely sure of your time, if you have any constraints this morning. But please take as much as you would like to give us the updated context for what we need to know about this weekend. Again, the link to all that you do need to know about this weekend and more is already in the show description. But please take.
Mumia has done 42 years. And he's someone that we all turn to and that we all have community with in terms of our own liberation and the revolution. And so he's inside and he's very, very vulnerable and he's turning 70. So he's our elder. He's someone we've counted on for a long time. So I think the birthday moments are a way for people in their local communities to really just show out for him. And they're doing it all over the world. So Mexico City, Frankfurt, Switzerland. We're releasing a e-blast this morning that's detailing activities all over the country and all over the world. And people are really showing up to say how Mumia has touched them. And then we have to show up because, as other people have said, or we've seen, like Kevin Rashid Johnson has a beautiful piece of artwork, another political prisoner inside, that says, we're not free until he's free, which I think is pretty emblematic. Mumia is the litmus test in some ways for our ability to continue to build the revolution. And with him inside and our other leaders inside, it shows what we need to do in some regards.
Right on. Joining us, Brother Gabe. What's going on, my man? Good to see you again. Gabriel Bryant, among other things, works with mobilizationformumia.com. Again, link is in the show description, and is one of the main organizers for the birthday events coming up this weekend. Long-time struggler. Good to see you. How you doing? Welcome.
First of all, peace and power to the family. Always good seeing y'all today. Free Mumia Abu-Jamal. Free all oppressed people everywhere. Happy to be here this morning.
So we were just getting started and inviting Noel, you and to give your initial thoughts on where we are with Mumia. Maybe tell us a little bit about what's happening this weekend. And in fact, as you do that, I'll welcome Gwen Debrow back up onto the platform as well, who again, among other things, works with Mumia's health committee and campaign to bring Mumia home. Gwen, welcome back. Good to see you again.
Thank you. Glad to be back.
Yeah, so, as we prepare, family, for Mumia's 70th birthday next week, Wednesday, April 24th, I'm thinking most about the fact that for the past several decades, we've been able to really build a movement, not only across the country, but internationally, right, globally. The fact that we're going to have a delegation from France coming in next week to participate in our activity. There'll be activity going on also in the Bay Area, in Detroit, also in Mexico and other areas as well. It showcases just the reach, right, and the broad reach of the ways in which our movement to free all political prisoners is so vast and has reached so many different communities, right? People who recognize Mumia's fight, Mumia's issue as their issue and as an issue of this time. One of the things that we were sharing this week as we were doing our promo runs across Philadelphia is the idea that, a lot of the issues that are being brought up as folks march the streets and champion these ideas have been championed by Mumia in the past, whether it's Palestine, whether it's Sudan, whether it's Congo, and all the issues that people are really right now taking to the streets about are all issues as well that Mumia, in some of Noel's commentaries by way of Prison Radio, have covered. Things that he has written about, things that he's talked to us about in interviews and on the phone. And so next week really is an opportunity to engage even more deeply in these narratives and dialogues. We're going to have some really great folks coming through, but more importantly, it's about the people that come through, right? Yeah, we're going to have, people who we love and who are dear to us, who have been good to the movement for decades, years, months, however long they've been a part of it. But more importantly, the people who are going to be coming, right? Those people on those buses from New York City, buses from Boston, buses from Jersey, that really also is what matters, because those people, just to be in the number, counts towards working towards his freedom. When they see those numbers, they see the people out that recognize that you're not going to allow erasure to take Mumia Abu-Jamal out of the narrative and story of not only Philadelphia, but our movement history.
Right on, right on. Thank you for that. Gwen, welcome again. And we're again just inviting some initial thoughts on where we are with Mumia and any
we're trying
prefatory
to
comments for this weekend. Yeah.
we're trying to rebuild the movement, spread it, wide and far, and let people know that we in fact do have political prisoners in this country. Every time they come up for parole, there's some excuse to deny them. Right now, Baranza Bowers had a parole hearing, and no word. He was scheduled to get out like 10 years ago, and they kept him in there. The man was dressed, had his stuff packed, and was giving away stuff. And they got a call from somewhere higher up. The man from the U.S. Department of Justice, the Attorney General there, made a call, and he has not been released as of now. And it's the same way with Mumia, unfortunately. Every time there's light and there's a possibility for him to get out of prison, and there's mountains of evidence to prove Mumia is innocent, they pull the rug right up underneath us, like this judge who denied Mumia at least, the minimal, which he deserved an evidentiary hearing. And, I thought Mumia would have been out 20 years ago, but yet he's still there and not in the best of health, just like, any elder that's been in prison, 40 years, prison ages you. So Mumia's, his really real body is it's like an elder, like 80 years old. And we're talking about someone who's innocent and never should have been convicted. And the reason why he was convicted was politically motivated, obviously, because there is no physical evidence to tie Mumia to the unfortunate death of Daniel Faulkner. Not one scrap of evidence, just circumstances that led to him being convicted of first-degree murder. And we're going to be out there, demanding that he be released. As a matter of fact, there's a petition on change.org. People can go to that website and look for the title, "Drop the Case Against Mumia Abu-Jamal." Attorney General, DA Larry Krasner dropped the case against Mumia Abu-Jamal. They can go to that website and sign the petition.
I read the petition early this morning, and Gwen, you guys did a fantastic job. So this is something that will be incredibly useful for people because it really lays out all the ways in which Mumia has been denied relief over the last number of years. So pretty solid effort, Gwen.
Yeah, we needed that because if the French can do a petition, we should do the same. We should double the efforts. We should have 2,000 signatures on that petition by Wednesday, so we can print it out and hand it to DA Krasner. Because believe it or not, there's more people that know and understand, in Philadelphia why Mumia should be released. There's more people that support his release than those that don't. And we have a bus leaving from New York City coming to Philadelphia on Wednesday. We still have seats. The people can go to freemumia.com to register and get a seat on the bus. We still have seats. And people come to Philadelphia. It's this is very important. We can't afford to let someone like him die in prison when we have all the evidence that Mumia is innocent. All of it is right there in front of your nose if you want to see it. It's right there. And I believe DA Krasner knows Mumia is innocent. I really do believe that. So go to change.org and look up that petition.
How do you I'm trying to look it up now. There's a number of them with Mumia's name in it. Do you don't have is there a specific title or link that you could
DA Krasner dropped the charges, dropped the case against Mumia Abu-Jamal, and it has a photo of some of the people that have been at the demonstration, and it has a picture of Mumia on it as well.
All right, everybody. The link to that is now going to go in the show description. So if you get a chance, please do refresh and sign it.
Thanks for sharing that, brother. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously it's not a problem. So yeah, and Geechee, Diallo, do either of you want to jump in real quick while I sign this petition?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to start with Noel. Could you tell us about earlier you talked about him being an elder, and a strong elder that we still lean on. But can you tell us about the conditions that he's facing in the facility, maybe some limitations that's enforced on him, and how that's impacted his mental and physical health?
He did 29 years in solitary confinement on death row. And so that had a huge impact. But he's also approaching 70. His health is severely compromised. The prison did not treat his chronic hepatitis C when it was very, very active in 2015, and they denied him healthcare for 2 years in terms of getting the fast-acting antiviral cure. So the movement came together and literally forced the prison to deliver that cure. But it took a toll, because when you don't treat hepatitis C when it's active, it increases your chance to have liver cancer and increases your cirrhosis. So your liver can regenerate, that's great, but he's at exposed risk to other potential complications from that. Then in 2021, Mumia had double bypass heart surgery. And the reason that he was exposed to having that kind of condition was because the diet and exercise are extremely limited in prison. And so after he had heart surgery, we have been advocating since he had that surgery for him to get an adequate diet. This pressure campaign has been going on. And just recently, in response to the campaign and also the Pennsylvania Prison Society, the food has changed somewhat. And we have to keep a bright white hot spotlight. So people should know, when you advocate, when you demand what people need, things change. When you fight, you win. And so we've been fighting for this. So the food has changed a little, but we're really keeping a bright white hot spotlight on it, trying to figure out what they're doing. So I would say his conditions are extreme. He's in a prison that's locked down a lot. He's more in his cell than he's out by vast numbers. So he's in his cell at least 16 hours a day, potentially longer. They do crazy things, like he's on a unit that is the only time he gets to go out beyond the yard, which is like 45 minutes twice a day. And they close the yard for hail, for fog, for staffing shortages, for rain, for snow, for heat. They're closing that yard all the time. So then he has the day room. So the day room is right off this block of cells. But they're now making, for the last 4 months, they're making everybody who goes to the day room sit still. And so Mumia used to walk the day room, but now he can't do that anymore. And they're just, it's like a very corrupt, white, rural environment where they just don't care. So they'll put an elliptical on the unit and say that they fixed the exercise problem, but they don't put the elliptical near an outlet. So, it's like, so Mumia has an adapter that can fit it and he can use it. And another guy, really ingenious Puerto Rican prisoner, designed a 8-volt battery that could use the elliptical, like designed it so he could use it. Nobody else in the unit can use it. So it's been a struggle because the prison is so anti-change. And I think that same is true for the court system. The U.S. Supreme Court has told the Pennsylvania courts that they've been corrupt and wrong for decades on issues, a lot of issues, but they're so entrenched. They're so comfortable with the apparatus of white supremacy and enslavement that they are, this class of bureaucrats are unwilling, like Lucretia Clemens, unwilling to do the right thing because it's comfortable for them, because it keeps their petty bourgeois power.
So, Brother Gabriel, I don't know how this question lands, but so I've seen like Dr. Cornel West attend events. Maybe y'all even been to events together, and so y'all share a platform with this Mumia work. And there was even a suggestion that Debrow said he should run Mumia as his vice president. But I'm curious, like, what have you seen in terms of Dr. West using this platform? What would you maybe like to see to help y'all kind of accomplish the goal that you have? Do you think there's more that he could do, or what has he been doing?
Sure. I mean, Dr. West has been really on the front line with Mumia's fight for a number of years now. He's come to rallies to speak. He's come to actions to speak. He's used his platform by way of, bringing folks in from the colleges. He's championed his issues in his writings. Just this past February for Black History Month, we had a huge event actually here in Philadelphia where he actually was on a panel while he was doing his tour stops through the eastern region of Pennsylvania. And he was able to be on a panel with Mark Lamont Hill and Susan Abuhawa and many others. And so one of the things that he has done, I'll say, is be consistent. And I think that's one of the criteria that I'm always looking at, right? Like, are you consistent with your speech and with your position and with your principles? And what I can say about Dr. West, that he actually has been consistent. When myself or Mama Pam calls him, he's going to be there, right? And so that really matters. In fact, he was able to provide a message for us for our event next week, in fact, because he'll be in like 3 other areas. We had our event last year, in March, around Judge Lucretia Clemens. He was able to tap in via Zoom. And so one of the things that I really do appreciate about Dr. West is his ability to be open and available when he is open and available. As far as being able to, do more, I think that we can all do more, certainly. But I also recognize, and I'm sober-minded about people's just realities, right? And about what they're able to do just by way of time, not so much of, personal will, if that matters. But one thing I will say, just in addition to your point, is that that's for, I think, all the speakers who will be coming and being a part of the conversation. That includes people who will be coming next week, like Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., who, again, consistently through the years, we make the call, he's out there coming from Chicago or wherever he's at during that week or time that he's supposed to be coming in. That matters for Mark Lamont Hill, who could be doing several other shows that evening, but tries to make some adjustments to be there with us. And again, many other folks. We're happy, of course, to have our dear comrade Kalanji come through as well. He'll be coming there, and we're excited about Kalanji being able to come out and provide a few words. And we have, again, several other speakers who are going to be on the front line. Somebody that I really want to bring up is somebody like a Suzanne Ross out of New York City, who's been on the front line since the beginning, and somebody who's in her mid-80s and still championing this work on the front line, doing the work, telling the story, bringing in global connections to figure out ways to free Mumia Abu-Jamal. People like Laura Whitehorn, people who have been really on the front lines of this political prisoner struggle and really have an insight and an expertise on how we can win. And more importantly, how can we utilize those gifts and talents towards the legal strategy as well, merge those energies to hopefully eventually get him home. And that's going to be sooner than later.
I'll do one more question before I pause and pass the mic. So, Sister Gwen, I know they just mentioned Lucretia Clemens, and I know there's been evidence out forever that even like the bullet that was in Faulkner doesn't match the gun that Mumia has. But has there been any updates, any evidence, or any updates about what's been going on? How maybe Lucretia is still moving. I know there's this argument of Black representation, but we saw how she moved. But are there anything that happened recently that can help us or inform how we should fight or what we should know that's been happening?
Well, right now the case is in the Pennsylvania Superior Court. Mumia's lawyers filed an appeal, so we're waiting. And then, of course, DA Krasner sent a response. So we're waiting right now to hear what the Superior Court will say about all of the new evidence that has come to light about 2 of the main witnesses in Mumia's case. One, a prostitute, White is her last name. I can't remember her first name. But anyway, there was new information about the district attorney when they going to voir dire, which is getting people to be on the jury in his 1981 trial. It was discovered that McGill wrote W by the white people, the white individuals that came up for the jury, and B, for black. And there was also evidence that the DA, Joseph McGill, was tracking all of White. I think her name was Cynthia White. I'm not sure, but her last name is White. Anyway, supposedly she claimed that she saw Mumia shoot the officer, but that's not. Another witness said that she was nowhere on the scene, and DA McGill was tracking all of the pending cases against her, and she never did a day of time in jail for all those pending cases that were against her. So that's damning right there. Then there's Robert Chobert, who was convicted of throwing a Molotov cocktail in a schoolyard, and he claims he saw Mumia shoot the police officer, but the photos, the Pedro Policar photos, show his cab nowhere on the scene. But what it does show, it shows that there was the Faulkner's police hat issued. He was on the side of the passenger side of the VW that Mumia's brother was driving, which means that there was a fourth person at the scene, and Mumia obviously did not commit this crime. They say they never did a paraffin test to test Mumia's hands to find out whether his gun was used in this crime, and then they never test his hands. So how does that make sense? A police officer was killed and they didn't do a basic test like that? It doesn't add up. And it seems like apparently the police and the DA, the original DA, Joseph McGill, cooked the evidence to frame Mumia because he was a political prisoner. He's a radio journalist known throughout Pennsylvania and quite good at his job. He would report on all of the police brutality that was experienced by people of color in that city. And going back to Robert Chobert, like I said, his taxi cab was nowhere on the scene, and it's quite evident that he was paid or given some kind of privileges or something to testify against Mumia. Also, he was driving his cab without a license. Now, would a man driving his cab without a license be parked anywhere near a police officer? It doesn't make sense. It doesn't, it doesn't add up. And Mumia never, they claim, saw in one of the records, the court records not the court records, but one of the appeals, I believe it was a Pennsylvania, one of the courts in the Pennsylvania. Anyway, they claim that Mumia volunteered and said that he shot the MF. Mumia doesn't even speak like that. That same cop, Giordano, was convicted. He was convicted of evidence tampering and fraud, extortion. This man had some real problems with his statement that he claims that he heard Mumia say he shot the MF, and that couldn't have been possible. Even the doctor that tended to Mumia that night said that Mumia was almost in shock. He had blood in his lungs, and there's no way that he could have. He never heard Mumia say anything. Also, another police officer, Gary Waxel, wrote in his notes that the Negro male made no comment. That's basically what he said. So the case against Mumia is a blatant fraud, and DA Krasner should show some courage and admit that the case is a fraud and that police and prosecutors framed Mumia, and they need to end this farce so Mumia can come home and spend the rest of his days with his family and friends. The man is 70 years old and not in the best health. And if they really wanted justice, he says he's about justice and he's trying to clean it up, then Mumia's case should have been numbed, because so far there's been 44 cases that have been people that have been exonerated. Why not Mumia? It's blatant that he was framed, and he knows it.
So thank you for that. We have a number of Diallo. Did you want to jump in?
Well, yes, thank you.
Go ahead, no problem.
We are very well aware of the voices and the stands since my childhood of the struggle to free Mumia. Could you perhaps speak to the also very powerful and entrenched forces that seek to keep him detained, that legitimately fear him as an individual and fear him as a symbol for the community and various struggles across the globe? Because there are forces from the widow of the slain officer and many others who are very invested, and many of them are able to act not just with impunity but relative obscurity with their effort to sustain this injustice. So could you speak to some of those forces, individuals or organizations that seek to keep Mumia confined?
Hey, Gwen, could I jump in?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I'll
so
go after.
the district attorney at the time was Ed Rendell. And Ed Rendell is seen in Philadelphia as like a kingmaker. So he was mayor, he was DA, he was governor, he was head of the Democratic National Committee, his wife is a federal judge. That's the level of like institutional power that is radiating throughout the decades that is keeping him inside. Now, those kinds of people have a relationship with the jackboot police force that are the sons of Rizzo. So Frank Rizzo, many people know, ran the Philadelphia police force and it has enabled the system to treat poor and people of color as a commodity. So we have 6,500 currently serving. They want to make it 7,300, and it's $1 billion budget, majority white police force, very little education, very little training, and that they make their overtime by arresting poor people of color and then going to court the next day. So when you ask Krasner or you ask Kenyatta Johnson's legislative director, what is the linchpin of the problem of why we don't have money in Philadelphia? It's because police overtime is sucking the money out of the community through the tactics of this assembly line of Black and brown bodies through the Juanita Kid and Justice Center. And that's why we have a very large prison population. And that's why our communities have been devastated. So that's the kind of thing that Mumia would have challenged. It's what independent Black journalism, giving voice to the people who are the most oppressed, who are at the point of being commodified. It's like people losing their vote. It's like Robert Salim Holbrook, the executive director of the Abolitionist Law Center and Straight Ahead. His vote is still in Greene County. Like, they are getting more Congress people out in rural white counties because they robbed him of his vote, So it's like disenfranchising the entire community. And Gabe, you can talk about this because I've only been here for 13 years, but in Philadelphia. But holy Christmas, this place is like something like you've never seen, like the birthplace of liberty and the embodiment of white supremacy. And it happens in front of us every day. And they are insistent on continuing to have this money that they're extracting from the people who live here.
And also we learned when Mumia's case was transferred to Lucretia Clemens, we found out that Lucretia Clemens worked for Rendell. So there's the linchpin as well. She should have actually recused her case because she has a conflict of interest. She worked for Judge Rendell.
Well, I don't remember that coming up at all. I didn't mean to. Yeah, my bad. I didn't mean to jump in. I don't remember that part coming up at all when we were looking at all of that. I missed that part, that connection entirely. That's
a serious connection. She was always on this. She worked for him, and she was always on the side of the corporations. So she's not a friend to poor people in general, and it's probably she aspires for a higher position, potentially in the courts. Maybe she wants to be a Pennsylvania Supreme Court sit on that. You know, so it's a lot of this. Like I said, it's definitely politically motivated. Because when Mumia gets out, obviously he has a huge lawsuit that they will have to answer to. As a matter of fact, there is no law on the books in Pennsylvania for compensating people who have been wrongfully convicted. They have to individually appeal their case to the state legislators or the city of Pennsylvania, the city council, to get compensated for the 25 years, 30 years, 40 years of wrongful incarceration. So it's very sad.
If Mumia had justice, he would get a new trial. He would be released. He would have a fair hearing. But the Fraternal Order of Police use their political power and their might. They have 6,500 current police officers, and they have 6,500 retired police officers, and they use those funds to pressure people and to use campaign contributions. But they pressured NPR to take him off the air. They pressured Addison Wesley to nuke his book, to actually limit the publicity for his book. They pressured HBO. They pressure people in the city of Philadelphia. They go after professors. They went after Larry Krasner. So they filed a King's Bench petition, which is very extraordinary and unusual. And the Pennsylvania Supreme Court privileged that. It made it non-frivolous. It gave them the right to go again. They gave the victim standing, which is actually against the U.S. Presidential constitutional law, and they are organized together with their powerful friends on the Pennsylvania Supreme Court. They were riding together. Fraternal Order Police are riding with other politicians to keep things as they are. And Mumia is a disruptor to that. He is the anecdote. He is the one who's going to tell the truth. His microphone and his ability to see things and to communicate is a direct threat to their continuing their, corrupt operation. And so that's why, but it's also because they're enjoying a lot of benefits from the white supremacy construct that they've constructed here. And people need to see it. I mean, people really need to see it. We need, and thank you, God, and thank you for having this independent journalism. But this is what we need for the people to get the information.
And like I said, if anyone listening who's in the New York area would like to travel down with us to Philadelphia on Wednesday, April 24th, go to our website, freemumia.com. Mumia is spelled M-U-M-I-A. That's M-U-M-I-A, freemumia.com. We still have seats, and we plan to raise our voice in Philadelphia. We're demanding that he be released. He doesn't even need a new trial because the evidence is right there that they framed him. There's no need for any trial. What we need is an honest judge and an honest DA who will admit that this was a faulty conviction, and Mumia should go home so he can spend the rest of his days with his family and community.
I think one thing too, as well as with kind of thinking back to what Gwen was saying earlier about kind of rebuilding a movement and thinking about how these forces that have been really trying to combat and confront Mumia's release. I'm thinking about not only the FOP with the years and decades of leadership from John McNesby, who was just an absolute just demonic entity when it comes to anything that relates to anything about freedom, liberation, and justice in the city. But also now more recently, Roosevelt Poplar, who's the current now leader of the FOP. But even deeply, I always talk about the fact that even the neoliberal forces, right, that are here in the city of Philadelphia, those who, profess to be progressive, but I've always sort of used the recent analogy that, in a similar way, if not the same way, that Malcolm Hill has talked about, the idea of except for Palestine, right? Progressive except for Palestine. There's been a movement of folks who are progressive, right? Radical, except for Mumia, right? They don't want to touch it. They don't want to, they leave it from like a 10-foot pole because of the I guess in their minds, the polarizing effect, the reality of how it might impact, jobs and support and, their funders and so on and so forth. And so I've been seeing that also grow over the years, the sort of neoliberal sort of hesitation to put their energy towards Mumia Abu-Jamal. And so the good thing is we've been able to build the momentum back in. But that was certainly an issue that I think should be mentioned actually in this space. And even more recently than that, because of the fantastic work being done on the ground by organizers for championing the freedom and sovereignty of Palestine and to end the occupation. And I really want to name the Philadelphia Palestine Coalition. They've been able to really organize, I think, in a way that has really galvanized support for not only Palestine, but for a number of issues. And I say that because we're going to be utilizing, hopefully working with those folks. We got folks coming in from the Samadun Prisoner Solidarity Network as well to speak next Wednesday. But that's important because this time period of these 30,000 plus deaths, of these, almost 200 days of this war has really something that we should really be looking at as far as how do we propel ourselves, how do we use momentum, right? We see what's going on right now at Columbia University. These are all examples of what has happened over the course of decades with not only Mumia's case, but other cases as well, as far as how do you deal with this groundswell of support? And then also more importantly, how do you maintain it, right? And sustain it over the years. And so I'm thinking about all the ways in which, colleges, universities, again, some of the stakeholders and so-called gatekeepers that profess certain levels of so-called radicalism actually have been some of the same forces that have actually tried to destroy his story and image.
So starting with Bro Gabe, could you speak a little bit to I saw this 10-year plan that they have, or 10-year master plan for elders in Pennsylvania, and maybe even speak to like any contradictions of it and how it might connect to Mumia's case.
Yeah, so the plan around engaging elders, I really want to shout out our brother, Dr. Ricardo Alvarez, somebody who's really been on the front lines doing this work for a long time, not only for Mumia, but for others. And I think it's important for all of us to know, we began really identifying a lot of these issues several years ago when, as Noel mentioned, Mumia began having these illnesses, right? And so it's important to talk about the fact that when we had and realized that Mumia had caught COVID-19, several years ago, when he had, hepatitis C, when he had, the diabetic shock, all these things kept recurring. But more importantly, one of the things that Mumia said at the time was, well, look, let's not just look at my case, look at the 20,000 other prisoners as well, of course, the Commonwealth of Pennsylvania, who are also dealing with some of these same issues. And so we're talking about the question of the aging prisoners. We definitely want folks to be able to review it, to look at it, to discuss it. But for us, it's part of an overarching campaign that can say, look, part of the freedom struggle, right? And part of the freedom narrative and story has to be about Mumia Abu-Jamal and his health, about the consistent medical neglect in the prisons, about the aging prisoners who are suffering, particularly those who are 60 plus years old inside of these prisons, not getting the health care, as we discussed earlier. But then also what happens once they leave, right? Once they get discharged, if these folks are freed, we've seen what happens, right? They come out, and when they come out, they're coming out with all sorts of sicknesses, all sorts of cancers. I want to shout out our brother Mike Africa Jr., because as we know, we were able to free the Move 9, right? But in freeing the Move 9, what do we also lose? We lost Delbert Africa, we lost Chucky Africa to cancer, right? Within a year's time. Right? We lost two of these men who are giants in our movement, who are giants while they were on the inside, and who were giants in the history of Philadelphia's movement for freedom and Black liberation. Now, all of a sudden, they come out after 40 plus years, but now they have cancer. And now we lose one within 6 months and the other within a year's time. That's the reality that we're dealing with. We're talking about aging prisoners and the health contradiction. And so we definitely want folks to review that and to kind of see how you can fit into to contribute towards amplifying this issue that is so resonant for us right now.
And folks should go to that change.org if you can't be in Philadelphia with us on Wednesday, April 24th. Sign that petition and have your friends and family sign that petition, because we need numbers. We need them, and it's going to take a movement to get Mumia out of this hole that he's in, as well as the other political prisoners. Because Sekou Odinga, who got out, I think about 10 years ago, he just passed away. Eddie Conway, same thing. He just passed away. He was out maybe 8, maybe 10 years. And Albert Woodfox, he died as well. And he just got out maybe 4 years, and he passed away. So, time, they don't have a lot of time. And I believe it was COVID that took him out. But it's also because of the years that he spent in solitary confinement, 40 years for Albert Woodfox, 40 years. And he was innocent as well. They accused him and convicted him of murdering a correctional officer. So, and we can do it. That's why I'm still here. I believe we can get Mumia out, but it's going to take pressure. The system responds to pressure, and that's what we intend to give them. We're not going to let up until Mumia is free. We're not going to do that.
Right on. Dr. Burroughs in the chat. Mike Africa Jr. has a memoir coming out this year. Mumia's latest book, co-edited anthology on incarceration, is also coming out this year. Shout out to Dr. Burroughs. Staying vigilant. The links, not Zay and anyone else, the links are all in the show description. The Mumia link tree is there. The change.org petition is there. The links to Gabe's organization and Noel's prison radio are there. So if you don't already have them, please avail yourselves of them and put them to use.
And to that point with the ball, real quick, for those folks who perhaps by chance can't make it their way to Philadelphia, the event will be live streamed. So people will be able to go to the Campaign to Bring Mumia Home YouTube page, as well as Hate 56 as well to watch.
Yeah, can I ask you about them real quick? Just real quick. The Hate 56 relationship. Can somebody break that down real quick? Because on its surface, it seemed weird. And when I first went there, it seems like a long time ago now, but it was a little, I was like, wait a minute, am I in the right spot?
Okay, so somebody quickly, is amazing. Sunny is amazing. So Sunny turned on to doing live recording sound as a punk rock devotee and aficionado of Rage Against the Machine. And so he's followed Mumia's case. He's very young, Swarthmore, geeky, computer genius, builds his own servers, and he does hundreds and hundreds of concerts a year where he has live recordings of them. And so he's been a very strong Mumia supporter for a very long time. He's from New Jersey, and Hate 56 is a takeoff on the New Jersey area code that he
And one thing I can say is that,
and
one thing I can say is that through his work in the hardcore metal scene, he's also worked, frankly, to amplify Mumia's ideas to a community of folks who may not have access to it, or readily access to it. But most importantly, I think it's what Noel said, which is that literally every single action in Philadelphia regarding Mumia, regarding what's going to be coming up in a few weeks with May 13th, which is going to be the 39th anniversary, the bombing of the Move House in Philadelphia, he's there. He's covered just about every single Palestine march. It's about every single, training around, Congo and Sudan. I mean, that's been attached to Palestine as well. He's there. He's somebody, and the reality also is that he's like a one-man army, as Noel said. I mean, he's literally coming there with multiple cameras in hand, doing his thing, live streaming, recording, and doing what needs to be done. And I think what's important for people like that is that, once again, it teaches us that you don't have to be on the bullhorn to be a pivotal part of this work. You don't have to be the one on the microphone or on the panel to be a pivotal part of this work. And he shows that every day, as just by showing up and being there faithful, being there early and leaving late in order to be a part of the documenting this story of this work and movement. So thanks to us.
No, that's it. Oh yeah, definitely. No, sorry. I just wanted to echo that point. I mean, I've I often use that in just basic intro to comm studies courses, that the people that you are most likely to see and hear on the mic or the camera are the least powerful in the process of producing that. And in same, there's a parallel in activism that many times the people you see on the bullhorn,
that's right,
they're the what is it, the tip of the iceberg, the proverbial tip of the iceberg. There's so much work being done behind and off the record. So, and speaking of proverbs, I mean, that is the don't judge a book by a cover proverbial example of that. Because I mean, I went to, you go to the YouTube channel, it's all these heavy metal hardcore dudes, and it's like with thousands of views, a lot of attention on that channel. And then you see these Mumia things. So that's right. Shout out to that whole, shout out to him for that. Right on.
Yeah. One thing I just wanted to add on to, possibly just real quick, is that I'm thinking about also just the work being done in Philly around this case and how we're trying to meet and move, and how we've been doing trainings and workshops, for instance, at some of the Pounce Down events, and also doing workshops at different houses of faith and churches and whatnot recently, and trying to engage. I was at an event literally 2 days ago at the University of Pennsylvania, speaking with young students there who want to come out and engage more deeply. That's really also, I think, a big part of the work that people forget about, is just doing like the sort of like the quote unquote door knocking, right? Like tapping into different networks and demographics that might be different, that might be unfamiliar, and doing that sort of old school work of just saying, hey, can I be a part of your conversation, right? And talk about what we're doing. Can I be a part of your movement and talk about what we're doing? And then once you start talking about and showing them our IG pages and list of work, they're saying now, hey, how can I be a part of your weekly meetings that meet on Wednesdays? And so this is part of the work that has to happen, I think, when we're talking about bringing them home is as our brother Lumumba Bandeli always talks about, this sort of freedom aspiration, the sort of freedom dream, freedom perspective, freedom principle of doing the work that's going to get him home, right, at the moment in time. And so let's also continue to do those kinds of things, right, going into and entering into new spaces to bring this brother home.
Also, I forgot to mention our hotline, the Free Mumia Abu-Jamal hotline, the New York hotline anyway. It's 212-330-8029. It's 212-330-8029. That's our New York hotline number for Mumia, the Free Mumia Coalition in New York City.
And I couldn't close this out by not naming, just for the record, folks, Mama Pam. Somebody who is a living giant, somebody who is, as we all know, somebody who's held down the fort for this movement, for so long, from the move days up through Mumia days up till now. And whenever she's called to speak on any number of things, not just Mumia Abu-Jamal, but any number of issues, she'll be there as well. And Mama Pam has done so much, not only to coordinate, to align, to integrate ideas and thoughts and organizers. And, a lot of the folks who come out to a lot of these actions and events from across the country are literally a call away due to Mama Pam's efforts in building relationships and sincere, authentic relationships with any number of people across the country and really across the world. And so I really want to lift up also somebody who for so long has been a long distance revolutionary in Mama Pam Africa, Mama Pam.
Yeah, right. How is she, by the way, relatively speaking? I mean,
she's doing well as can be. She definitely, as some folks know, had a recent health issue, as many of us and many of our elders are having, but has worked through it, and she's fired up. She's fired up, not gonna take it no more. So she's out there with Raza Khan, and she's out there doing what needs to be done at the rallies and speaking out. Recently, Mumia Abu-Jamal, and making the calls, and she's on the radio all week, and so she's doing the work. She's doing the work as best she can. Yep.
So, Gabe, I can't co-sign the source here, but a shout out to you as well for all the work you've been doing in Philly. I will not co-sign the source. I would caution anyone to be careful with that particular source. We know Hiram is but shout out to you and shout out to Hiram. Yeah.
Thank you, shout out to Hiram.
And anybody else? And again, I'm not really clear on our time frame, so I'm not at all rushing anybody. But I'm just curious where we are at the time. Oh, okay. Okay.
Yeah, I have to go. But everybody, free Mumia, free all political prisoners, because the United States denies that we have them, but we do have them. And, we have to do the work. And when we, do the work like we're doing now, there's no other choice but to free Mumia and all of the other political prisoners. Leonard Peltier is in very bad shape. He's in worse shape than Mumia, and they told him he had to wait 9 months to see an eye specialist. Meanwhile, he's going blind. He lost 80% of his vision, and they told him, "Well, you have to wait 9 months to go to see an eye specialist." Really? What kind of humanity? You tell, and he's 78 years old. And he's also innocent.
And I'd like to leave us on a hopeful note in that the people and the inside of prisons in Pennsylvania have built from the inside out. So we have this enormous grassroots, very powerful set of organizers from the Abolitionist Law Center, the Amistad Law Project, the Coalition to Abolish Death by Incarceration, the Human Rights Coalition, the W.E.D. Du Bois Abolitionist School. We have this very deep organizing that is electing Krasner, that is electing judges, that is suing the Allegheny County Jail, that is suing the Philadelphia Jail, that is suing the Pennsylvania Department of Corrections. Abolitionist Law Center has dozen lawyers now. And so this was built from the inside out. So I think Pennsylvania is this core battleground that we are actually winning. And when you win, they make you pay a price, right? When you win and when you get closer to freedom, it doesn't get easier, it gets harder. So no, even though we're in this moment that feels really devastating in Philadelphia, people who live here, the gun violence, Gabe, I know you know this, it's devastating because the police are allowing our communities to be victimized because they're losing. So the groups that are organized against the city jail, that are organizing against death by incarceration, are extremely active. And we're at a moment when we can win. We can win if we all lean in and have a real tight focus. So it's a moment. Mumia is going to come home because of this. Mumia is going to come home because of the people who are inside. We had the most juvenile lifers, 1,500, that a lot of them got out and they're leading the movement. We have the most, second most people who are serving life without possibility of parole, 5,000. We have second-degree murder folks who had no intention to kill that are still inside, that right now the Abolitionist Law Center is battling in the Pennsylvania Supreme Court and is likely going to win that one. So we are making progress. And know that the end of the struggle, when the other side is holding on, because they're losing, it gets a little rougher.
And I'll just give just the final details again, just to remind folks how the day's going to look. So next week, Wednesday, April 24th, we're going to begin at 2 p.m. At City Hall, on the south side of City Hall, by the Octavius Cato statue. There'll be a rally there for some speakers and some marching there, but more so to kind of hear out the narrative for the day. And we're calling this once again a birthday of resistance, right? So not necessarily a celebration because he's still on the inside, but it is indeed a birthday of resistance. And then at 6 p.m. to 8 p.m., we're going to be at the Waters Memorial AME Church, which is located on 609 Clifton Street, which is between 11th and 10th on South Street. We know South Street is a very historic corridor in Philly. And so we're going to be at the Waters Memorial AME Church from 6 to 8 p.m. for more speakers, more galvanizing, more strategizing to get Mumia home. So 2 p.m. City Hall, 6 p.m. Waters Memorial AME Church. Thanks for sharing the photo of the image of the flyer. And come on out, man. I mean, I guess it's going to be a great opportunity to meet other organizers from other cities who are doing similar work, but to also figure out ways that we're going to bring this brother home sooner than later, and also to engage people from his family who are going to be there as well. Some of our special speakers are going to be members actually of his family. We know that we also lost, speaking of those who we have lost in recent years, Mama Wadia, who we've lost. And so there's going to be really an honoring at this event as well of those individuals who have been in the struggle for a long time, who have made transition. And we want to thank the folks who are going to facilitate that process. But it's really important in 2024 to not just, as the death seems to be all around us, to really just spend some time right? To kind of acknowledge that and to acknowledge and kind of be a bit sober-minded about the reality of what we're dealing with. Those who fought till the end to bring these folks home and perhaps didn't see it in their time. But hopefully from the spiritual realm or the realm of the ancestors, they can be acknowledged by our spirit and by our energy.
Thank you, Dr. Ball, for having us on once again to tell the story of Mumia Abu-Jamal, the injustice of it all. But he's not the only one. I read a statistic that they believe that there's over 100,000 people that are factually innocent, but railroaded in prison.
Look, I mean,
the new Jim Crow, basically.
Yeah. Columbia University was mentioned. I mean, I'll add to that they seem to have even. It seems that they've even targeted Ilhan Omar's daughter as a sort of targeted punishment for being a protester at that university, despite relative to many of us on this platform. Even Omar is much more to the center than we are, and they're even at that level. So certainly beyond that, to your point, Gwen, of the people locked down for real, to those future political prisoners that are just waiting to be made. The work you three and your comrades have been doing is essential, and we appreciate it. And anytime this space can be of value, just let us know. We got you. That's what we're here for. So.
Thank you all. Appreciate
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, and have a blessed day.
Likewise. All of you
Take
take good care.
Take care.
Right on.
Take care. Free them all.
All right, everybody, we'll take a quick break and come back with more Earn Your Liberation. Don't go anywhere. Right back in a minute.
Just say, you got to earn your liberation. Say, Tony, you got to earn your liberation. People will watch, like, people that's grooming me in this round. Like it too. Yo, all the starmen. Pulse up. Earn your liberation.
All right, fellas. Welcome back, everybody. EYL, Geechee Yob, Diallo Kenyatta, Jared Ball. Big shout out to Gwen, Gabe, and Noel for coming through. All the links, again, are in the show description, so please make use of them and show your support. If you can be up in Philly, be in Philly. Fellas, where we going next? What's the plan? What's happening? Welcome, everybody. Like, share, subscribe, support the platform. Well over 600 people right now in the live. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate you. Where should we go next? Somebody opening mail?
Yeah. Chocolate.
Get you been wilding all morning, drinking out of a whole gallon of water.
What are you
Can't
talking
focus
about?
on the important topics because of Geechee's antics.
I drink water all the time, brother. What you want me to do? You want me to drink
Buy a
milk?
glass.
Glasses is from the white man.
You ask me, don't ask for my advice if you're gonna immediately reject it.
I'm just saying.
That's what I want you to do. Buy a proper glass.
I'm a pan-Africanist. Only Yvette Carnell.
Like,
only Yvette Carnell buy glasses.
Oh,
we trying to free our elder, man, and you over there. Come on.
So you said, so I didn't watch any of it, so I'll defer to what you are. I don't know if are we doing clips? Are we watching it? What are we doing?
I mean, I got some clips that
Diallo's already shaking his head.
I thought we agreed.
No, I thought you said you wanted to do it. You said we had to do it, so I was like, okay, well, let's do it.
Who said that?
Who
That's
said
what
that?
you said. Diallo said we got to do. We said we got to treat her like you treated his masturbating competition.
No, that was in humor. That was in.
Well,
jest.
too late.
I
You
said
too
we
late.
should
Too late.
her. I said we should do that interview the way Dr. Mayat did us.
Oh, see.
I said the way Dr. Mayat and them did their assessment of our critique of STEM. I said we should just find like a 8-second segment and then do a 2-hour response. That's what I was suggesting in jest.
I got a little bit longer
If
than 8
Yvette
seconds.
said the word "the," we're gonna do 3 hours on.
The definite article is Eurocentric, and these ignorant ADO. Yeah, that's what I wanted to do. That's all she deserved.
Well, listen. She got something in common with the sister. Yvette and Maya have something in common. Both of them was talking about pan-Africanism and Diallo and how his pan-Africanism is ineffective. So
she said Africanism. That's it. We're gonna do 3 more hours on that.
Yo, play that shit, man.
I don't want to see this, man. My morning, y'all start me off. Mumia, just pain and depression, and then y'all throw this up here.
Don't say y'all.
I believe that pan-Africanism has become a religion as opposed to a kind of any kind of political outlook that has any kind of proof of concept. And I believe the person that is blocking reparations for ADOS are people like her, who are saying, regardless of what the Supreme Court is telling me, regardless of what makes sense, everything has to have a criteria. Like, you don't walk into something and say, it's for everybody. No, even when you have a lawsuit, you say, who was harmed, who was in the car? You don't say, well, everybody else was harmed in some kind of way by traffic, right? That's not the kind of conversation we're having. And so for me, for her, like, I honestly feel like Pan-Africans are holding the reparations for ADOS hostage, because you walk around now, you see Ron Daniels and local reparations, and he's saying it has to be for all Black people. And everybody is telling you that does not make sense. Even other countries are telling you that, like, what you're doing does not make any sense. So, and let me just push back a little bit on our people. All Africans are not my people in the sense of, it's interesting to me. You can go to Africa and they'll have, it's 54 countries, hundreds and hundreds of tribes, right? Like, they don't even have unity on the continent, but you are willing to stand in the way of my reparations in order for me to have some type of connectivity and relationship to people that I don't have a relationship with. That's the same as telling me I should have a relationship
she's talking about?
With somebody from Ecuador or somebody from Yugoslavia. Listen, these are separate countries. A lot of these countries don't even have good relationships. A lot of tribes don't have good relationships. So the idea that, and when you talk about Black Americans, we're still 90%. So you're telling us, unless we do something for people who got here either in 1965 or after 2000, you don't want to do anything. To me, that is an ideologue. To me, that is somebody who is an ideologue and who is standing in the way of reparations for ADOS out of the fact that they wore a RBG flag and they had an UNC or whatever they had in high school. And I just...
So part of her argument was that the Caribbean people and most people that come to the country outside of the United States, they're coming to get all of the gains and the reparations that the civil rights movement has afforded them. If it wasn't for the civil rights movement, Jamaicans, Haitians, whoever else wouldn't come to US and get, this reparations. So that means because they got that, they don't deserve any other type of reparations.
I gotta. Sorry, go ahead. My bad. Go ahead.
No, but right before that clip, Cornel West's vice president, Melina Abdullah, was pretty much trying to explain that she's a pan-Africanist. I don't think she did a good job either, but that's the image of pan-Africanism that your sister was there to tear down.
So, but Yvette, so again, I haven't paid attention to Yvette in a meaningful way in several years, but it doesn't sound like, admittedly from that clip, it doesn't, with little I've seen, it does not sound like she's updated her approach. So at the time when I was attempting to engage, her argument, very similar to that, was after making her first and only visit to Liberia, and as she described going shopping in the malls, she encountered Africans who were not welcoming of her. And that was part of how she built her approach. And I remember trying to engage her on the point that
ADOS.
never mind the history of Liberia. Never mind.
It's
Never mind.
ADOS. Liberians are ADOS.
But again, the point I'm getting at is that even that initial level of analysis is lost on her. And then when I tried to add to the point, add that if you go and engage on the basis of tourism and shopping, you will be treated as a tourist and a shopper. If you go on the basis of politics and actual Pan-African solidarity, you will likely have a very different experience. But to pick anecdotes based on how you engage, to then extrapolate from that an argument against Pan-Africanism is flawed. Then, of course, there are the questions of how is Pan-Africanism defined? What is her working definition of Pan-Africanism? She does not engage the one, for instance, that comes out of the AAPRP based on scientific socialism. She doesn't distinguish between even the basics of a Garvey, Du Bois. She doesn't do any. There was none of that. It was a condemnation of, and then there's also no class analysis of the continental Africans that do come here and how they engage or how they're invited to engage. And of course, there's no grassroots political organization with continental Africans who are themselves part of an activist struggle who would engage with her very differently. And then very lastly, it's a very white supremacist conservative approach to tell Black people to disconnect themselves from the diaspora, to base it on anecdotes and snippets of cherry-picked histories, to deny the state's preference for a destruction of radical Pan-African unity, and to align oneself solely with the United States, as if that is somehow the logical solution to problems caused by the United States, and almost exclusively to their benefit. So this idea that reparations are going to come to Black Americans only, and that this is somehow going to be reparative, be a redress, advance anyone, and be a total solution, is itself again a conservative notion. So it's
throughout the interview, Mark Lamont Hill is throwing her really soft volleyballs to not even connect with the ball. But there's one more clip. I know Diallo got to suffer through it. This last one that I just sent.
Oh, okay. All right. There's more.
Diallo, why are you so mad at it, man?
I'm not mad at her. I'm mad at you.
What? I didn't break this thing. I ain't put this on the run sheet.
You didn't put this on the run. Who put this on the run sheet?
You want me to read it, Jared?
What did I say? Yeah, read it. What did I say?
I said we have to deal with. I was asked to deal with this, and then Diallo was like, "Well, yeah, let's deal with it." And then I was like, "Okay," and I put on the run sheet, and none of y'all can pick it off.
You're looking that up. Are you reading?
I'm right. I can read it.
You said, "Do you want me to read it?" And then you're pretending to hold the phone up, and you ain't looked down at the phone yet.
Wait,
I mean, this man.
I was doing something. I gotta go to it.
Ain't gonna work
He did. He did.
Like, you want me to read it? You want me to read it? And the phone.
Jared,
you never looked at the phone.
Okay, I will.
What'd I say? What'd I say?
Jared said, I was asked if we would review this. I would only agree to watch it if y'all want to. Otherwise, I cannot stand her and would be happy to skip it. And Diallo said, gross. I can't stand ADOS. And I said, LOL, sounds like a skip. Diallo, we may be obligated. We may be obligated. Maybe we can break it up or pick a segment, do your vet like Dr. Maya and crew did us. That sounds like put it on the run sheet. I ain't finished. I put it on a run sheet. I said, hey, this is a run sheet for this week. Can we forget our vet yet? Trump on the chicken circuit. Mumia's team. Anything else to add or remove, like I always say. And y'all too never said anything. So I thought y'all wanted to talk about this. So anyway, let's go.
I just need to clarify that my comment was
wait. You left out. You didn't identify the emojis.
What emoji?
The emojis.
You did leave out the laugh emoji he put on there.
Emojis, and then y'all responded with laughing
emojis.
I laughed at that too. Yeah.
Diallo, how old are you? Because I don't read them emojis that well. I don't understand them emojis.
Because that is the modern day version of hieroglyphs. We speak through images. So if you were connected
wow.
with our ancestors and cultures, you would understand and comprehend the emojis.
All right, am I playing this or not?
Yeah, because I don't know what the hell he's talking about.
All right.
I'm saying, can we do both? And can we, on the one hand, say we're fighting for reparations for ADOS, to use your language, but we still want to foster relationships around the globe? Is it possible to do those things as a practical matter?
No, no, because Pan-Africans don't have a proof of concept, right? We haven't done enough. We are wealthless and falling off a cliff. We haven't done anything for ourselves. So asking me that is not about whether or not I have affection for people. I do, but asking me that is like asking me if I'm drowning, is there a way that I can pull up 10 more people with me? Right? Is there a way to pull up to with my one vest to pull these people up?
That's terrible.
You have to be able to do
honest,
what you have to do in your corner of the world. Now, if ADOS get reparations, I'll be the first one to go on tour and talk about it and talk strategy. But right now, I think what happens when you don't do that is you have a group of people who are scattered and unfocused. So when I'm not trying to take shots at Ron Daniels, but it's easy. Because this is this biggest thing that he's tried to wrestle away from ADOS, right? In terms of he wants to do the reparations project. Well, now he's saying now he's writing articles about barbecue in Haiti. What happens is that you're not going to do either of those things well. You're going to be, what do they call it, a master of none. You're not going to do that thing well. You have to fight for the people that you have to fight for, right? You have to be able to fight in your corner of the world, and you have to win.
I mean, it's what the proof of concept line. I mean, I'm sure it works well with her crowd, but it's the proof. First of all, the proof of concept would have to be explored in relation to, again, Western Empire intervening to destroy Pan-African solidarity. It has to be taken into consideration of it being itself an anti-colonial project in a struggle against colonizers. So, and then I also so which of course she ignores all of that. So this reference to a proof of concept without. But then the other thing is that I love that she seems to have been targeting here Ron Daniels, because to me that exemplifies what is, for me, ultimately the conservative nature of the reparations argument and community. That she's not struggling, she's not in an argument in this case against radical Pan-Africanists and grassroots organizers and revolutionaries and political prisoners. She's in a black capitalist struggle, hands for what are ultimately crumbs with another of a variant of her form. She's just been more isolated in her focus, narrow in her focus, but the same broader politics largely adhere. But so yeah, I'll that's, I guess that's really it. That's wild. That's wild.
So me and Kamal was doing something, and we met this lady who was like, "Oh, my cousin does the same work that y'all do," and he started a movement, the ADOS. I was like, "Oh," she was like, "Tone," and I brought that up because Tone and Tone specifically, like, he's really big on the racial wealth gap and closing it, and 10 things we get wrong about it, and her mentioning that, like, arguing that, you know, the difference between passing down wealth and the utility of wealth. And I wonder with you, Jared, like, I know Diallo says, you know, this is one of the reasons why we probably shouldn't use the wealth gap as something to measure. But if you could correct how it should be used in terms of the wealth gap again, and then also, like, I guess close with saying why, you know, soda is more logical.
Well, I mean, the short of it, one thing I just want to be clear that my biggest issues with Tone and Yvette have not actually been our political disagreement. I'm actually okay with having political disagreements. It's that they have engaged wildly disingenuously with lies, outright lies. They've targeted mine and other people's employment. and encouraged others to do so, even even going, as I've talked about before, so far as to lie about what I was wearing at an event to disparage me without engaging my actual argument. And it was interesting in one of those articles that you referenced about the closing the wealth gap. They referenced my work. Yvette we used to be cool with each other at the very beginnings of her platform. We were cool with each other. So and my point in bringing that up is that one of the issues that I have is that, like many, they start with a basis of fact, the horrific conditions of Black people in this country. And then the difference is that they take a very rightward trajectory to get to a solution. And their solution is focused on reparations from the United States government, which they are arguing in a variety of ways. They used to be in league with Sandy Darity, and I don't know exactly what happened with that. But the argument used to be, or when I was more familiar with it, and I'm not aware to the extent it's changed, is that reparations is going to somehow close this gap and give Black people, in their language, this self-driven start. And I always find it fascinating that when reparations activists talk about reparations as a movement based on autonomy and sovereignty and self-reliance and do for self, when it's a petition to the most powerful entity and most grievous thieving, colonizing entity in world history. So, which is again why how I try to engage them, that when I look at history and I look at the contemporary situation, revolutionary pan-Africanism, if not being a perfect solution, has many of the answers that we would want to have in terms of creating the wealth, creating the global protection and relative sovereignty for African people, in providing cover for, for instance, as many have argued in the past, a good way to cover and protect Black America is to have a strong African continent working in solidarity with Black people here and throughout the diaspora. So even if it's looked at selfishly to a certain extent, this is not again about all Africans running off and holding hands in some kumbaya. It's about recognizing that the power of solidarity and the real pooling of resources, as opposed to fantasies about buying power or Black wealth and income, et cetera, and so forth. So my last point would be, again, I'm still not, where is reparations and ADOS finding its proof of concept in terms of being a winnable struggle that solves the problems facing Black people? Again, when she and others argue that people like me are representing some old guard, some old decaying analysis, what they ignore are at least two things, and I really will stop here. One is that their analysis is, first of all, white supremacist, colonial, and capitalist, whether they recognize its origins or not. And secondly, that it is the older form of an approach that is forcing a colonized community to wed its hopes and aspirations to the colonizer is the oldest form of abuse. Reparations, or particularly, reparations, even mainstream integrationist struggle, and certainly revolutionary pan-Africanism are more nascent, newer forms of radical approaches to the problems caused by that initial colonial relationships and encounter. So that's why soda all day. It's the literal, political, and figurative opposite of ADOS. Exactly.
So Diallo, as our themless Pan-African in residence, what's your final nail in the coffin for this lady we should forget?
I don't even think that, even though I appreciate and agree with Jared's analysis, I don't think that she's even worthy of this depth and level of rebuttal. She's anti-Black, she's anti-African, she's anti-solidarity, she's anti-poor, she's a professed and proud classist. She even gave a talk on her own YouTube where she talked about when she was on campus at her And because I mean, even if you qualify as I do as her definition of an ADOS, she doesn't hold solidarity with you. She complained about how when she was on her HBCU campus, how the neighborhood blacks, the N-words would come and rob them and harass them, and that there should be greater protections and greater barriers between the students who were striving to better themselves and the rabble of the black community that surrounds the campus, because they be robbing us. So, I mean, she's trying to isolate the African diaspora and put us in very specific boxes with strict barriers between us all. And then within that small box that she's creating of ADOS, within that box, there are strict divisions and hostilities that she's trying to create. So she is nothing more than recycling the talented 10th, recycling cast down your pale. She is really ironic when she's talking about pan-African ideologies and pan-African consciousness that emerged out of the 60s, when this woman is dredging up a Negro, and I don't even think conservative is too good of a word of it. Reactionary, but I think just calling it. So she's going back more than 100 years. Everything that she's pushing went obsolete over 100 years ago. This mentality, Marcus Garvey was banging against this mentality. We's American. You know, cast down your pail where you stand. You have to make your way where you is. She's the one with the old tired ideology. She's the one with the disproven, discredited method of advancing our interests. She's just put new terms and a new spin on it. But we wrapping yourself in the flag, that goes all the way back to the house Negro versus the field Negro. She just turned the house into America and the field into every African outside of the confines of the United States. The house Negroes are the ones with a social security card, and the field Negroes are Negroes without American citizenship. She's the one pushing tired, obsolete ideologies, not us. She's the one pushing something that has already been implemented, advanced, and failed, not us. But the thing with conservatism, as Jared called her a conservative, so I'll run with that. I think that's, again, too kind of a term. You too kind of these sisters that be kicking you in the shins, Jared. Toughen up. You know, I'm gynocentric myself, but you take it too far. But when you look at conservatism, as Jared calls it, black or white conservatism, there's an old saying, for a conservative, every accusation is a confession. If you look at the larger conservative movement, they're like, oh, the liberals are sexual predators. The liberals don't take personal responsibility. The liberals just spin and they're financially irresponsible. You know, and so, and the liberals are queer and gay, and then you look at them and every single one of them. You know, the liberals don't have family values. And then their king, you know, is being spanked by a porn star while his wife is laboring pregnant in the hospital. So every accusation is a confession. So everything she says bad about pan-Africanism is untenable. It's tired. It's divisive and all this shit. It's literally her confessing. And when you listen to conservatism within the black community or listen to their white handlers, their white owners, their white masters, that's what it is. And I think we're giving this woman and her forehead way too much attention and time.
He said forehead. What the fuck?
And I'm over here jealous of her high top fade. I'm mad.
That's not a fade.
I'm
That's
mad. Whatever it was.
Whatever it was. That's not even a full word for that. It's just what is, and then she got the nerve to style that.
Hey man, come on, man.
Let it be.
You
And I have to say this to African people:
get us canceled, bro.
Type of justice from the system. The white man does not have a magical justice jar with a limited amount of justice in it. So when he gives justice to Haiti, or when we talk about justice for Palestine, when we talk about the Congo or the Sudan, when we talk about justice, when we talk about refugees in the United States, the Venezuelan refugees or the Haitian migrants, when we talk about these groups, and what they need and what they deserve, it does not detract from our justice. You're not losing something when the system, when you see another group rising up and speak to their interests. Justice is self-replicating. The more justice you have in the society, the more you get. And there's so many populations of Black people popping up talking about, oh, they getting something, or they're making a demand, or they're taking a stand, or they held a process. What about us? Because there's this concept that if the white man's giving justice over there, which often it ain't even giving justice. But when you imagine that the white, he's emptying out the justice jar, and he's gonna be enough left over for us. So as an African and a liberationist, you should hold solidarity with all just aspirations, all movements of justice, because as one movement of justice advances, so do we. So justice is self-replicating.
I want the big piece of chicken,
expanding.
Diallo.
It's not a limited commodity or resource. They keep telling us these things are limited commodities and resource. That's why they got Geechee drinking water out of a gallon jug.
Thank you for reminding me, bro.
Sports. It's not they commodifying everything. They've even commodified justice and made it an elite limited resource that we fighting each other over to get a little piece of.
Cheers to my brother Diallo. Toast to the world.
I want to.
Okay, yeah. What is that?
Damn, what Diallo's talking about. I want the big piece of chicken, and I want the extra biscuits and the gravy. If they're giving it out, if they give it out.
So let's get into some of this Q&A. The segment.
The freedom wings.
And I can sing. I can go on Amazon and get you one of the man units. It's just resting up there and it don't move. You notice how she talk? It don't move. That ain't real.
You can get a line up and everything. Shout out to Ish.
That's her hairline.
We got a new member. Appreciate you for coming through. Yo, I think my brother drop a 20 on us every morning, so I really appreciate it.
Appreciate that, yeah, definitely.
Morning, so appreciate
and
you.
Shout out to you. Hope you enjoying the replay.
Absolutely. Hey Rob, the 199. How can incarcerated people? I actually meant to bring this up earlier.
Yeah, me too. We got kind of lost in the sauce there. We can always reach back out to Noel, but I would encourage you also to reach out to prisonradio.org and see what they got going on over there. A lot of prisoners are
who did that?
Are linking up, and so yeah.
All right,
please do
and
that.
Then, it looked like
I didn't do that.
All right. Hello everyone.
Yeah, just shouting out to you. That's my man. That's my man. What up, Todd?
Hey, what does Todd think? What did Todd think about he ever said anything about the reboot? Moving on. What's the move? The thing we just covered last week, the cartoon, not moving on up.
Good times.
Good times. I haven't asked him about that. I haven't asked him. Todd, let me know what you think, man. Have y'all watched
any more of it?
No. Did you?
No, I didn't watch the first time.
Yeah, I thought you might have. Yeah, I that was enough.
I got to like 6 or whatever, and I just stopped. But I think somebody said they watch all 10. Huh?
I didn't see it when I saw it.
Y'all did see me.
Listen, I'm not with that old righteous. I don't like it because it was poor quality. It just wasn't.
No, I'm saying that's what I was actually going to say. I would have
kept with y'all.
No. I'm not on the high horse. I would have kept watching it if it had legit made me laugh or was somewhat. I would have worked through the contradiction. I could work through some contradictions now, some media, but it wasn't even good. That's the whole point. You're right. It was. I mean, it wasn't.
Y'all remember the PJs?
Yeah, I remember the PJs. I watched some of that.
Said it gets good later on. Towards 10, but I mean,
I can't.
I don't know what that
doesn't
means.
work. You can't. You keep reading my book. It gets good at the very. No. You gotta.
Jared, can you pull that clip up of Steph Curry saying he won't let his kids watch it?
Where would that clip be?
My bad. I sent it in the chat. But I can't find it.
I'll look for it real quick, but I didn't see it in the chat when you first sent it.
Yeah.
Oh, there it is. I got it. Okay, there it is. I did find it. Okay, hold on. Is it queued though, or is it just the whole thing is 1 minute?
Yeah,
okay, hold on. All right, here we go.
Today is the debut of your new animation, Good Times. Just wanted to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah, it's obviously the IP of Good Times. Everybody knows what that is, and there's such a it's on a pedestal of shows that represent Black culture, Black social commentary, Black family. This is a different take on that, so the name will ring, but an animated series that's kind of driven towards the adult audience, it's a little different. So you take that for what it is, and
I
You're
can't
gonna
even
be
hear him.
watching it with the family.
I will not be with my kids, no.
I know.
So
I know he's lying because I
think-
used to tell that same lie. He's lying. He's lying.
that's interesting. I took him as telling the truth, and I was thinking that the PR team needs to reach out to him and say, "Stop doing interviews. You killing our whole thing here." Because to me, he was clearly not interested.
He's lying. Listen, you don't
Okay,
have.
all right.
Listen, I used to.
That was
play
not a
video. I'd
ringing
be
endorsement.
When my kids were young, I'd be playing a video game, and my wife be like, "They can't be playing. That game is too violent." And I'm like, "Oh, I'll just go in and turn off the blood effects." And she'd be like, "Good." As soon as she leave, there was no option to turn off the blood.
Turn off the blood effect.
Yeah. And she'd be like, "Yeah, I can disable the fatality, so they won't see that part. It'll just be karate. This is a martial arts video game."
No, I took him at his word. Like I believe when Peter Thiel and all of them admit that they won't let their children use social media, I believe them. They want us to use it, but they don't use. And I believe that I believe he wouldn't watch with his kids.
Rich people. You.
Rich people don't lie, Diallo. If you rich and tell me something, I believe it automatically.
How many more offsprings of these rich and famous people got to come out and do exposés about their childhoods before we stop believing what rich people tell? First of all, when the last time he's seen his kids? Look at his schedule.
Oh, damn.
There's a half a dozen nannies, there's nannies, drivers, cooks, cleaners. They have a whole staff.
No. You can't do that. He literally, the kids be at the basketball game every time.
Yes, and who
He
brought
used to
them?
have his
Did they
girl
ride
up
there
at
with
the
their parents?
They came there with their mother,
Who put?
Aisha.
There you go, Geechee. You believe in the rich people too. You and me, we over there in the rich people belief in the belief corner.
Rich people are the most dependent and incapable demographic. Everything, what did I tell you? Everything they say about poor folks is a confession. When they talk about poor people don't take care of their kids, poor people don't take care of their responsibilities.
No, because they're
poor
taking
people
care of the rich
don't
people's
have
kids.
Appropriate family
They're
values.
taking care of someone else's kids.
Exactly.
Even around here, the next time I go,
He doesn't determine what his kids do or don't watch.
Diallo gonna get clipped and say black fathers are not present. That's what you got to get clipped.
No, rich black
you about to be all over Rumble.
You about to mess
Rich
all
black
over. You
fathers
about to be.
don't. Listen,
he about to be on Candace Owens' next
so
show.
You have to raise. You think if I had that kind of money, I'd have been raising these damn kids.
This might be the segment we dropped the link.
Diallo said I'd have never seen these movies again. I will never see
Seriously,
these.
you
kids
really
again.
think he's going home after?
Diallo reminds me. Did you ever watch?
Where does his team? Where did the Golden State Nuggets?
Golden State,
play?
California, Sacktown.
Huh?
San Francisco, Oakland. They were supposed to be.
Whatever arena he's
Aren't they in
playing,
Vegas now? I don't even know
the
anymore.
NBA arena parking lot, gets in his station wagon with car seats in the back, juice boxes and cookie crumbs all over, and he drives himself back to his home, pulls into the garage, walks in, puts down his briefcase with the basketball in it. Honey, I'm home. And she walks up with an apron, and then he pats his children on the head and sits down at the coffee table and asks them how their day was. Y'all know how these rich people
Afro Sings is mad.
Kids are in boarding school.
On one today. But we might drop the link. We might have to drop the link.
None is telling them what they can and can't watch.
Diallo,
stop.
Diallo,
Don't rich people tell you about family. Don't let rich people tell you.
Del Curry took care of his kids,
and then
he's still in Steph Curry to take care of his kids. So don't do that.
If they're not ball chasing, don't look at them. Never listen to anything they have to say. And if he ain't got a ball in his hand, don't even look at him. They're not role models. They're not anybody we should listen to. Stop spreading. Rich people are the worst parents. That's why I remained in poverty throughout my children's childhood, because I loved them so much.
I mean to trigger Diallo, y'all. I'm sorry. Let's go back to these comments. So, well, yeah. So I always, when I hear this question, I'm always want to ask like to what? The person who asked the question, I want them to explain the issue, and then maybe it's easier to respond to the solution. But she says, but she said, what is the solution? Respectfully, there's always criticism, arguments, and focus on what doesn't work. Really wish more focus was placed on discussing solutions to earn liberation here.
I would need to know something more specific, because usually, again, I don't know what all that. Usually, to me, more and more those comments mean I don't agree with the solutions you've offered. I don't want to do what you're saying I should do. I wish I could do what other people say I could do because it's easier. That's usually what I don't. So I don't know what. I'm not really sure. We spent the first hour of the show talking about Mumia, so I don't know if that means we're again. I'm with that. If we're literally not breaking him out, I'm with you that everything we're doing is not really a solution. But I don't know. I'm not. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know, man.
But again, that's what I'm saying. You know. I always would want to ask them to tell me the problem first, because I think that's just always like a something.
But I will say this in all sincerity: shout out to the people on my political left. Like, I'm with that. If we haven't given the appropriate analysis or solution and there's a leftward version, I'm with that. So I would echo that. What is the leftward solution that we haven't got to? I'm with that.
I got you, Afri Sings.
Well, I mean, it's coming in our response to Yvette.
I got you, Afri Sings. I'll give you the solution. I'm not even going to talk around the issue.
Go ahead.
In reference to Yvette and reparations. Oh, that's definitely her.
She didn't say that.
Why that's not a solution. No, I'm seeing that in the chat too. I'm just saying.
No, that was a comment during that segment, so that's what she was responding to. But go ahead.
Yeah, that's not an answer. Yeah.
Afri Sings, you need to unify all working class colonized people around the world.
That's it.
And they need to arm themselves with whatever weapons they have around them. And they need to dismantle all military infrastructures, all repressive institutes of the state. They need to engage in armed insurgency against the capitalist infrastructure and engage in guerrilla warfare on a global scale all at once. And then we take the resources from the elites and the wealthy and the state and redistribute them amongst all people. And we should be done with that. What is 8:42 by lunch?
It's 9:42 on the East Coast. Maybe a little. And
if we start it now, we can get that done and then head on to get some vegan lattes from independent. Nope, Starbucks will be gone.
Starbucks will be gone. Starbucks will be gone.
All of its assets.
No. We're going corporate. We're going to turn it into a cooperative.
We're going to nationalize Starbucks.
Okay.
So we have
the People's Republic of
coffee
beans, and then we'll have lattes and plant gardens. When somebody asks you for a solution, give it to them. She didn't ask.
I love it. No, you're right.
She didn't ask about how to carry it out. Just give them any solution. They obviously don't want specific.
No, but you got to ask the question: what's the solution for them?
They want a broad solution to all issues at once. You give them that, and then I'm sure she's tying the bandana around her head and getting her Molotovs.
But here's what's interesting, though, right? So if we started the show 8 o'clock, she said she came in 8:55 and heard. So when you come in and whatever you hear right then, you probably shouldn't ask what's the solution. You might not even know the context of it.
But Afro, wait a minute.
Unified armed insurgency.
Right. But aside from that, remember, EYL, our show is a serialized show. That means you got to come back every week. You can't. So in other words, you can't just pick up one show and be like, I've seen the whole series. Every show is a response one way or another to that.
She's not on the air anymore. She's gone off grid. She shredded her credit cards.
We're not even talking to her anymore, right? I know.
All right, man, let's go.
Y'all still talking to this sister while she's in the sewers. She wanted to know the solution so she could immediately implement it. Y'all still talking to a woman that's in the trenches as we speak.
Wait, man. Let's go.
She's done it. She's like, oh, that's it. She turned off her computer and
went back to the
store. Because I imagine when people come and ask me for the solution, the moment I say it, they're out. They're
back to the money.
why else would you ask such a question?
He said she's in the sewers.
Be careful if you and I.
Yo,
I can't. That's too much. You put me on that one. You pause.
So
you got me on that one.
What's the solution if you weren't intending on immediate?
Oh man!
Don't get a gun from the. Don't get a gun from the. You gotta make your own guns.
Watch it. Go to the hardware store. Buy it.
No, you can't get it from there. You can't. You buy no. But anyway,
he says she's already in the sewers. That was
so. Devin said reparations with no overturning of capitalist imperialist system will lead to temporary material benefits that will be dissolved within generations.
And again, this is data driven. And again, we look clearly. We don't have to speculate. So whether it's again E. Franklin Frazier, Marisa Baradaran, Earl Ofari Hutchinson with the re-release of the myth of Black. I mean, he goes into the details of all of this. This is data driven. Du Bois on his condemnation of cooperatives. It's data and experience driven, as Diallo pointed out, going back 100-some years already. So this is the idea that this is somehow new and innovative. All that is new is the hashtag. That's it.
Yeah.
I support welfare, housing vouchers. I support any redistribution of assets of the state amongst the people, however it comes. I'm not against reparations, but reparations is not a panacea. It's not a cure-all. It should be a component of a larger justice movement. And that's the problem, because when you look at the earliest advocates of reparations, it was tied to anti-imperialism. It was tied to larger justice struggles. It was tied to progressive changes in public policy. It's like cut the check and everything will be fine.
Now, to be fair, at the time before I checked out, I do remember on their at the time on their website, there was something beyond just a simple cut the check. There was some reference to even some institutional. I can't remember, but just to be, I don't disagree with what you say, but I do want to acknowledge that I do remember seeing that they had a little bit more in there beyond just cut a check. But it's after all of the bad analysis and the rebranding of King and Malcolm X, and when Kevin Cosby down there, whatchamacallit college, where he's the president, I think he was the president of whatchamacallit college down there in Louisiana, when he said that Yvette is the new Malcolm X, the new and improved Malcolm X, he said that directly to me in an exchange we were having. And I said, because she had made a reference to Malcolm X, and I said, that's a bastardization of what he was arguing. And Cosby was like, she's better. She's the improved Malcolm X. And I was like, I don't know what to say after that. I mean, obviously there's nothing I can say if you got to that point. So yeah, so that's part of the problem, in addition to whatever they're claiming, that they're aggressively trying to supplant previous actual revolutionaries.
So we cleared that up in terms of arguing about academics versus laymen, the beef that is exhausting. She want to brainstorm and test drive ideas or solutions. So maybe she'll test drive picking up the gap and creating armed struggle. Well, go ahead.
I just think I don't think it's fair. I don't think those comments to me don't take into consideration what we're actually arguing. So we're not just criticizing for the sake of criticizing. We're criticizing largely for the point that these arguments don't work. So to simply say that I want to focus on solutions without focusing on a critique of the proposed solutions of very prominent spokespeople is I think a mistaken. Yeah. All right, go ahead. What happened?
No, I was just what they said. Thank you, Black Jesus. Help us, Black Jesus. No, so I do think we could drop the link today if it's necessary. But
if you look at his other comment, it explains quite a bit.
What I like Yvette. That's what you're talking about?
Yeah. Hey, I liked Yvette too. At one point at the beginning, I liked her when I first came across her work. I liked it. I interviewed her when I was at the Real News. She had me.
But
I mean, I thought because at the beginnings of her post-Boyce break, she seemed like at the time she was presenting to me as a left of the Democratic Party black thinker. And so we engaged on that basis. And then as she went more and more and more to the right and then took on the personality that she has now, obviously but I understand why if someone is not either aware, fully paying attention, hasn't seen what her actual politics are, I could see how tuning into her show would be, I mean, it was entertaining to me. I thought she was a provocative, compelling host. Which is why I think she's that much more of an effective political opponent.
You see, that's why you also would read Steph Curry's parenting book.
So I think we struck a nerve today with Yvette. I didn't even know Yvette was still so relevant.
You grifters, stop taking advantage of Jared and his believing innocent heart. Because you're falling for everybody's tricks, Jared.
No, we about to drop the link today, man. I think there's a lot of Yvette supporters in there. Maybe we misrepresenting Yvette, and they should.
Usually I expected that every time. Whenever I mean, I remember even one time I was invited to some Twitter Spaces thing, and she showed up there and got hostile and loud and lying and did all those things again. She's not. She's in her, and many of her supporters are not genuine either. So I knew once this came up there was going to be, and I'm sure if I were to read the comments once the show is posted and it's going to be a mess. But
it's going to get ugly. It's already starting to get ugly, I think. But anyway,
next time you start following in behind some grifters, send me. Let me. No, the next time you find a grifter, and I would
agree with that. I'd agree that she's serious but misguided and reactionary. I don't have.
But again, serious. I think she's definitely dishonest. She created.
I think that argument is wild though.
She created a fake account and started commenting and following in behind me and attacking me because I did this. She said she did a video that pan-africanism is dead, and I did a response video, and then she started responding to me directly. And then as I started to deconstruct her argument, she blocked me. And then she came back and created a fake account and was talking to me through this fake account on behalf of herself. That's why I think that Jamal guy, that could be Yvette.
That's who Diallo's biggest supporter is in the chat. What's that nickname? That's who Diallo in the chat supporting himself.
Exactly. Using my own tactics against me.
But again, Jared, I think your argument about intent is pretty profound. Like because I think we spend too much time on like, oh, they're genuine or they're serious, and it's like. We're not asking about whether we like the person or not. I mean,
how can somebody wrap themselves in the American flag? Somebody who claims to be a descendant of slavery, wrap themselves in the American flag and say we want to be made white. And any serious, self-respecting black person say, "Well, they're serious." I mean, the bar. How low is the bar?
I mean, you got to be damn serious to put on that flag and say that.
You got to take yourself seriously to do that.
You got to be really serious.
I'm not. Again, I thank Geechee. I appreciate that. I'm not
wrap themselves in flags.
I'm not interested. I don't want to sit here and judge intent. I'll do that off the record and when we having fun. But publicly and trying to perform some analysis, I'm not interested in intent. I'm interested in impact or the analysis. Or there you go, or all of that. I'm interested in. Oh man,
this guy, wow. You need help today, bro. Anyway,
this is what the community falls for. This kind
of but I think you're failing to realize that you are not providing a proof of concept right now. You're just doing this whack ass flag and stuff, right? This doesn't mean anything.
Wasn't that a John Gresham movie?
I don't know. Proof of concept.
She talking about
litigators are, but listen. So the proof of concept is like no organizations, no groups, no countries have come together and collectively done something and fighting to continue to fight together. So Sahel states right now, they're not a proof of concept, would you say?
You asking me?
Yeah, because I mean, you got to
be talking to Elon.
No, we talking about you because, Yvette said you Pan-Africanist people and you're Pan-African resident. You don't have a proof of concept. So you haven't proved that this thing is actually realistic.
Man, listen, if you want to be a closet Yvette fan, if you want to, hedge your bets and ride the fence thinking you're going to get a check too, you Gullah Geechee. You ain't a true American. You
I
ain't
I thought Gullah people say
you don't want to be made white.
I'm gonna just tell them they ain't come and get us from Sierra Leone and Angola to grow rice and indigo. We actually was here before, so they didn't specialize their efforts to come get us. So yeah, if you get the check, I want the check.
Your check might be in danger. You better leave that Geechee stuff alone, that Gullah Geechee stuff alone. Come on, and be a full red-blooded patriotic American.
So again, Jamal, Afra, whoever else, and even Rob, we're gonna drop the link if y'all want to come on and speak more clearly.
My problem with
who did we diss? How did we? Wait a minute. First of all, the vitriol for her specifically. That's not.
It's kind of wild.
A couple of jokes about the hairline and all of that. This has not been vitriolic at all, and has been largely based in experience and a focus on her argument. Unlike her, it is she who has dragged me and my colleagues in videos, who has tagged Morgan State University, who tried to get me in some sort of trouble. Asking what kind of university would hire a professor. Like, it's she who has lied literally about everything about my argument down to what I was wearing at a public event. I mean, you heard what Diallo was. So it's not, come on. I mean, this is usually what ends up happening. People who have far less experience with Yvette or that crowd have so much to say, and they don't understand the backdrop. So I would encourage you could go to imixwhatilike.org, and if you really want to see my full argument and history with this, you can go find it there. But this is not vitriolic, and we haven't gone harder, at Yvette than. I mean, please, that's not right.
I mean, maybe these people are ADOS. I'm not sure, but
I'm
Rob,
trolling and insulting. What insult have I offered? What analysis? Again, Rob, I know it's difficult in chat, and if we want, we could drop the link, but I would want you to do as they say in these debate communities, steel man my argument and then tear it down. Don't do the straw man thing like this. I laid out a very specific critique. So what wasn't that wasn't a critique? And what was it that I said that was trolling and insulting? What specifically did I say?
If you're, from your point of view, someone trying to not only, because the distance to drive a wedge
Manny,
and create greater distance between African people and the greater diaspora, and if that doesn't deem them illegitimate in our community, in our movement, or in your personal point of view, then I think it's time for end of discussion. The line is drawn in the fucking sand. The line is in the sand. Freedom for everybody or freedom for nobody. We listen to Malcolm, but we don't hear it. We don't hear him. So yes, it's beef.
She's the new Malcolm.
Any black person advocating for greater American dependence, attachment, embracing of capitalism and greater distance. Yvette is not just advocating for a check. She wants black people to be more invested in the U.S. imperial project.
I mean, that shit's clear though.
Patriotic, loyal citizens in exchange for economic integration and elevation within the doomed omnicidal system. She wants to partner with our oppressors, not overcome, defeat, or distance ourselves from our oppressors. And y'all think just because y'all already in your mind, like when you buy a lottery check,
we can drop the link, Jamal.
You already then spent the reparations money in your head, and that's why she gets you, because she comes with this carrot of a large sum of money coming into your pockets or your community, and you ignore the stick of genocidal imperialism that is the very root of U.S. wealth. Where they gonna get the money from? So yes, it is a reactionary, short-sighted, doomed, and disrespectful ideology, movement, and even the title. I mean, from day one, our oppressors have been trying to tell us, you are nothing more than slave. Your history started and ends in slavery. You grew up out of slavery, and that is your foundation. And we had scholars for generations trying to teach African people, you are a part of the African diaspora. Your history does not start in slavery. You are not a slave. You were enslaved. And then here comes this woman who was a beneficiary of generations of pan-African Black struggle to say, oh no, our unifying core is our enslavement. Our foundational identity is our enslavement. We grew up out of slavery. We didn't grow up out of Africa. We didn't grow up out of resistance. We didn't grow up out of struggle. No, our foundation and our unifying core is our enslavement. Fuck that shit. And anybody that's down with it, fuck ADOS, fuck its bastard offspring, FBA, Foundational Black American. And if your intellect and consciousness and commitment to liberation does not compel you to reject that movement as well, then listen, go work on yourself.
So I'm gonna drop the link for Jamal and whoever else want to come through, so he can clarify what's wrong. I see a lot of wild shit in the comments, and you know, even maybe Africa thinks she's have a criticism, but I'm not sure that it's a criticism. I don't think it's as clear as one thinks. But AJ, Yvette is dangerous. She's reminiscent of the old school preachers selling salvation to the masses while looking to chain us to a system that will only continue to exploit and devour us.
Yeah, in addition to what AJ is saying, and just to emphasize Diallo's point, again, ADOS is arguing an old logic against which massive amounts of struggle have been waged. It is literally a reactionary ideological walking back that claims to be new and somehow in advance. And this is why it gets platformed. This is why it's algorithmically supported. This is why it's written about in the New York Times. This is why, quite in the opposite, we see, as I keep referencing the Guardian article of a couple of years ago, acknowledging global state intelligence efforts to suppress Kwame Ture, specifically because he was spreading socialism, scientific socialism, and pan-Africanism. So they're literally explaining openly, we want to suppress this and promote that. So even if we don't go any farther, which we should and can and have already on this show, with an analysis, that should raise many, many, many flags. But what is happening, part of how it works, and I looked it up, I couldn't remember the name of the college, but what Kevin Cosby, the president of Simmons College in Kentucky, was attempting to argue with me is that when I was raising this very argument was that it's in fact, I think, a sophisticated effort to say not that we aren't that, to say that we are an improvement of that. So they can claim Malcolm and Martin and this and that, and people can make reference to Dr. Clark while supporting FBA and all these other contradictory positions, because they are claiming to be the advance of, or the evolution of all of that, which is causing, for many people who don't have experience with these histories, a lot of confusion. And that's why they're presented as a radical advance. And then they can point to African immigrants and other immigrants as the enemy. And then literally, as Diallo points out, wrap themselves in the American flag and say, this is our salvation. It is completely backwards.
So I agree with Goddess. And this is why celebrity worship is destructive. If this person is your hill to die on, you ain't really serious. So Brother Jamal is coming up, or I'm sorry, I don't want to say brother, but Jamal is coming up, and we'll let the I mean, I don't know. I mean, if we'll let him come up.
Cornell, we can Cornell West. Everybody's our brother. Yeah,
everybody's
our brother.
I don't believe that shit.
All right.
My brother.
Yo, what's up? All right, so Jamal, lay out the. You said that you said some things was wrong, but lay out what was wrong, and then we'll give you opportunity to respond, or us opportunity to respond. But go ahead.
Well, I think naturally, when it comes to, I don't think ADOS is saying let's partner with American imperialism. I think it's saying that, I believe that it's saying that reparations is naturally anti-imperialism, because but it is because this is why, because first of all,
wait, you just contradict yourself.
But can you point to where they wait, can you send a link where this is explained? Because I think you're adding, this is often what I see happen, you're adding your views
it's
to
so
what
many
they have
shows,
not said.
There's so many shows where she said she's indicated the same idea that reparations for ADOS is like the first domino in knocking down imperialism. Because first of all, like Diallo,
But she rejects Sir Hilary Beckles and that international pan-African reparations movement, which would do just that, which would do.
I think it's
part.
I don't think it's against that though. I don't think it's
no. They've said they're against that. That's what I'm saying. They've said that.
I don't think reparations money, Jamal.
What was that?
Don't you know that if imperialism collapses, the U.S. dollar will also collapse?
Right. Yeah.
So if where are you going to invest your imperialism, your reparations money? Where you going to invest it?
See, well, you getting past you
gonna put it in the mattress.
Diallo, let's let him finish. My bad. I apologize, Jamal. Go ahead, man. I cut you off first. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, you know what? I've acknowledged that, and I've thought about that, but I think that's way in the future. You know, kind of. You know, it is. I mean, it is kind of. You know, because
I gotta mute.
You know that because because right now, okay, this is how I feel. I just like the fact that they're shaking things up. Okay, they're definitely shaking things up. Okay, and yeah, they definitely are because look at one thing I like that Diallo said, and I agree. Like, and I rarely hear people say this about Black Americans, is that well, you didn't say it like this, but I feel like we're a security threat, and you said something like they say we have pinko tendencies. So any type of wealth, any type of us, any step progress is a security risk to Americans. Imperialism, any success we do. So just the suggestion of an ADOS reparations is shaking things up and this is a threat. Because you know what? Because then we're not saying like because look, at no point as okay, there's no focus on foreign policy because there's no focus on foreign policy because we need to stay focused on domestic right now. That's how they feel. You know, they're feeling their focus, laser focus on domestic. So they're not talking about foreign, but from what I heard her talk about foreign, yeah, she's in solidarity with all the anti-imperialism stuff, but but they're laser focused on this American project.
You must be don't drink kombucha.
Laser focus and limited scope is literally the opposite.
Wait, what? Say that again.
Laser
no, let me ask my question first.
No, laser focus and limited scope they relate. I think they relate, but this is my issue.
Those two things are the opposite.
Oh, sorry.
Radicalism. It is literally the reactionary. That's like the people who say, "Well, I'm pro-life, so I'll go to the polls and I'll vote for any fascist that's gonna give me pro." I'm focused on this single issue. Wow. If you ever find yourself in any movement or struggle being a single issue individual, they got you. They got you.
No. See, like I look at it as okay. This might be a bad analogy, but this look like okay. If you got a whole, let's say if I want to fight gangs in the street, okay. Oh, so we got a big problem with gangs on my block, okay. Well, okay, but I got a couple gangbangers in my house. Okay, let me deal with the gangbangers in my house first, you know, and you know deal with that. And not saying that I'm against. Of course, I want to deal with the gangbangers out in the street. Yeah, this is just an analogy. But I'm saying, but if I got a couple in my house, I got to deal with this first. This is very important. I deal with what's going on in my house, you know. And
but Jamal, to follow your metaphor,
if I can't deal with what's going on in my house, I'm definitely not equipped.
But to follow that metaphor, your metaphor, to better explain your metaphor would be to say you have a fire in your house and you're refusing to allow the fire department to come in and put it out. That's more akin to what they're doing. That's what I think is a more the Pan-African broader internationalist struggle. That's what the fire department is. And you're saying, no. I'm just going to turn on the faucet and get my little cup of water and keep dumping it. And I don't want y'all to come in here. Don't come in here with your fire hose.
How's ADOS stopping the? How are they stopping the? How?
Again, this is Jamal. So wait. Let me just say this one thing. This is what I think is a fundamental problem here. As I started off with, what I'm hearing is Jamal, you attempting to apply your worldview to what you think they're saying and not listening to what they have in fact said. Now, I'm admitting that I am a few years out of date. So if there has been an update and anyone wants to send me any links to where I can confirm this, I'm happy.
Yeah,
I would actually be happy. But my point would be is that their entire movement is set against pan-Africanism, as we just played in the clips, and involving the African world struggle and internationalizing our struggle. So that's why, as I pointed out, and Anthony D, my point, asked me about this in the chat, that's why they've rejected international reparations struggles, because they don't want to be involved with that. That's why I've not ever seen them connecting themselves.
Why do they not want to be involved in that?
Because they have fundamentally conservative reactionary politics that misunderstand even the point that you raised earlier. You even raised the point earlier, which was when you said there's no point in having a foreign policy because we need to focus on the domestic. That is a fundamental misunderstanding of how the economy in the world works. There is no such thing as having an only domestic policy that is unrelated to a foreign policy, especially when you're talking about wealth creation and labor and a global economy. What happens to Black people here impacts and is impacted by what happens to Africans and other labor people around the world. So there is no disassociation with the idea that we're going to focus only domestically to get ours without understanding what that means or does not mean for the entire for the broader world.
So Jamal, real quick.
That's how much of a bar my argument.
Jamal, real quick, Jamal. So real quick, Jamal. Hold on 1 second. Hold on. So I'm gonna let you go one more time and say what you have to say, and then we're gonna go to the next person. But go ahead.
Okay, in response, I was gonna say the answer to the question was that because they deal with a legal argument, so the internationalism doesn't work for their particular legal argument that they've been pushing from the beginning. That's why the whole ADOS started from the beginning was as a legal argument, a lineage argument. So that's why they can't do the whole, international thing, because you can't do a Black thing, as from a legal standpoint.
They've never laid that out. You would have to show me where they laid that out.
That's been laid out from the beginning.
It hasn't.
That's why it
has not. They've not been making this on the basis. It's not been made on the basis of a legal argument. It's been on the basis.
That's why the name.
It's just like any other cult or religion.
That's what I thought.
But listen. So to clear this up,
and they're not even aware of their own foundational documents. It's like I'm arguing with it.
So
ADOS actually wants to unite. ADOS I know she said Pan-Africanism is dead, but that's a method to keep it alive. Like they'll say you can't reason.
So Jamal, as a follow-up, send us those links as a follow-up, Jamal, and then we'll move on to the next person. But appreciate you coming through. We got Africa.
Hey, Dr. Ball, please unblock me on Twitter. I never saw you. I think I probably liked the tweet that you didn't like, but I like your stuff.
Hey, when them ADOS people come at me, it's just a mass block party, and I'm not apologizing for it. And so if you got caught up liking something, that's on you, bro.
I just like the tweet or something.
But if you over there liking stuff, I'm over there. I don't have time to
parse it out. That was like 5
years
years ago. Come on, that was like 5 years ago. Come on, I mix what you like too.
Don't worry.
All
right, man. Send me an email and I'll reconnect. That's all good,
cool,
man.
Bro.
Peace,
right, peace out.
Yeah, peace. That was good.
So
I appreciate you.
We got somebody reporting from the front lines, the trenches of the armed revolutionary resistance.
Chill out, man. Let her
from the front lines. Here we go.
She down there with DOS effects, slide from the sewers.
Stop it, Diallo. All right,
Rickety Brown.
Peace to the system.
Rickety Gadzooks. Here I go. So, what's up, Afra?
I'm gonna mute these two.
Hurry up before the feds trace the signal. Say what you got to say.
Stop playing. Go ahead, Afra. Peace to you.
Are you quite done?
Go ahead.
Because this is I don't know why after that, like I'm ready to leave. I don't know why you feel it necessary or even warranted for you to ridicule me when I was asking something in earnest. I'm not ADOS. I'm literally a Pan-African because I'm from Black people from multiple parts of that diaspora. And I've said it before, so you picked up on some of my comments, but I said I really would prefer to talk about what we actually want is what we actually think is going to be helpful work, because I don't know who this adept person is. And often I've come here to catch EYL or other BPM programs, and there are people that I'm not familiar with. I love learning about people I'm not familiar with, that are helpful to to the questions and the solutions that I'm looking for, and how we earn our liberation. So I'm just been disappointed, because no, I can't come here every single week to follow the serial of 3, 4, or 5 hour programming. But when I do, I'm looking I'm looking to find out something helpful or useful. And very frequently it's like a tear down of somebody you disagree with, which I understand. Sometimes you want to talk about something that you disagree with that's popular. I don't even know who this lady is. If she's popular, I don't know her. And I would really prefer to hear more about, okay, so what's the alternative to what this person is talking about? If if you're going to talk about something that doesn't work, what works? Telling me to pick up a gun and and all of this is like, and now you're making fun of me being on the front lines. I actually do go out and try. I'm not there all the time, but I'm an impacted person. So, like, think about sometimes the things that you're saying. People are going through a lot of shit. People be ready to be gone and out of this world. And you're sitting up here doing it as conjecture and joking about shit. And you don't even know somebody's life. That's not fucking cool.
So let me.
The opposite would also be true, though, right?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. So I think you in the DMV area. I'm not sure if you connected.
Mostly, I'm in the DMV area, and I'm also
okay. So I'm not sure if you connected to. Wait, real quick. Let me finish real quick. I'm not sure if you connected to any of the orgs there. PACA, BAT, All African People's Revolution. I'm not sure if any of those, but I can assuredly tell you that when people come on the internet and ask for solutions, it's as comical as the response. And that's why a lot of people are saying like if you really want to know solutions, like those are actually one of the solutions. It's just the methodology to get to there is probably not a thing. So if you're coming, like you said, if you randomly pop in and catching us wherever we at and just start saying, okay, what's the solution you're tearing down? It's almost like you're dismissing actually what the analysis that's being given and responded to, and saying and calling it tear down as opposed to critique, and then saying just shut the fuck up and let's get to the solutions. And so when people give you a solution, you feel attacked, and it's like that. I mean, that's literally what you asked for.
Telling me that.
Otherwise, one second.
Telling me that I need to go in a tunnel and all of the stuff that Diallo just said to me.
I can't hear you right now. 1 more second. Otherwise, if you are in organization on a consistent basis when you're not here, the language and the conversations that you will be having will be more aligned to the solution. All of us are in organization where we're working on the solutions on a daily basis. So what I'm trying to explain to you, like that's how people are going to take you. Whenever you say, oh, blah, 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 what's the solution? That's how people are going to say. They can either ignore you or they can give you the solution like Diallo tried to do. Because I guess he's taking you as unserious as the question, what's the solution?
Well, my question wasn't unserious. So even you're talking about organizations. I've been involved with other organizations, and I have heard more. I've heard more thoughtful criticism where there were actually points to explain out. Okay, well, this is why we don't agree with X, Y, or Z, and that's what's made me actually question. Okay, is this aligned with what I actually need and want? So if you say, okay, well, you know what, you're in DMV. Look into this organization and look into that, then that's fine. And that's an organization I want to know about. I've actually asked a few times about how to get involved with a few organizations here in DC, and I still haven't been connected with them. I'm trying to reach out to Jackie. I think at the time that I was trying to look for it, Jackie was in the hospital, or she was sick. Now she's back. So the thing is, regardless, or you don't know what things other people are going through. So it's not to say that somebody that wants to get involved in an organization is already ready or involved in the one that they want to be in. But when someone asks you a question, same as unserious, then why are you even on here online if there's no point in discussing like solutions? I mean, it's not absurd. I've learned, like I said, I've come on to different BPM programs and learn about books, about people, about things that I needed to know more about, even about organizations. And that helped me to actually go offline and get more information. So if I'm asking something about what's the solution, I just don't see ridiculing me and at the level of it, like being something that's helpful and necessary. You made a program about earning your liberation. I didn't make that up. So I really was asking, okay, so how do we move from this to what we're trying to do?
Okay, so I'm gonna let the brothers respond, and then you can finish up with something. But whatever you're doing with the mic, you're moving, and it's hard to hear you. And I'm pretty sure they'll respond to all those things, including the name choice of Earn Your Liberation. But go ahead, Diallo and Jared.
First of all, if you had come on, if you had went to the comments and posed the questions that you're posing here now, you would have gotten a response and a clear and cogent answer to saying, hey, I'm unfamiliar with Yvette. Who is she? Or what are your specific issues with the ADOS movement? You would have gotten a clear and cogent answer. That is not what you did. So you're misrepresenting not only what you said, I also think you're misrepresenting the spirit in which you said it. The word respect means to look back. Spect comes from words like spectacle or spectate, to see. And re means to go backwards, reverse. So respect, if you were being respectful to us, meaning that understanding who we are and where we come from, and even if you can't catch the live every Friday morning, it's on tape, it's archived and easily accessible for free. So if you had come with respect, with some understanding of who we are and what our purposes are, or even if you came without it and say, hey, what is your method? What is your motivation? But you said, what are the solutions? And there's the first thing we learn as children, be careful of what you ask for, because you just might get it. So if someone just walks up to me out of context and says, well, what's the solution? Everybody knows what that means. I've been in lecture halls with some of our greatest scholars, from John Henry Clark and Dr. Ben, and people get up after they've given a detailed, magnificent lecture and say, well, what's the solution? I've been in community groups with grassroots grinding people working and trying to discourse and conceptualize, and somebody stands up and says, what's the solution? And I'm pretty sure, Afri Singh, as you go about your work or you're engaged in discourse and dialogue, or having a discussion with a one-on-one person, and you're addressing your grievances with a loved one or an intimate partner, and they say, okay, well, what's the solution? We all know what that means and the tone and spirit in which that is articulated. And then you come on here as someone who was simply humbly seeking knowledge, and we got attacked. Now, there are, 60 plus shows on here where we've engaged with people from across the ideological and political spectrum. And if you know nothing else about Earn Your Liberation, and we got a teacher here, we got activists on this show, is that we give as good as we get. And when people come to us with a sincere question, even if it's not aligned with our ideas, they on here sharing links. Geechee's out here dissecting, telling people, pulling up people's records all the way back to their middle school demerits, sharing information. So all I want to tell you is, you should have come, from my point of view, if you want to continue interested in my advice, because you came and asked me or the group a question, you should have come with those actual questions instead of compiling all your curiosities and questions into the disrespectful comment and response. What's the solution? That's kind of like, are we there yet? It's annoying, because we are here articulating points of views, articulating historical, contemporary, and projecting into the future, and doing this work. Geechee and Jared and I, we dialogue all week. Y'all see 2 hours worth of a week's worth of labors. So all I'm saying is, a lot of times, or what do you say? Kwame Ture say, you got to bring some to get some. And he meant that in terms of revolutionary struggle, but also in basic respect and courtesy.
I'm sorry if I can respond. I did not come in here. I didn't say anything disrespectful.
Africa. Wait. So the process was Diallo respond and Jared respond, and you can come back. So just let Jared go ahead.
I'll just be very quick. I just wanted to say that a couple things. One, I'm not going to not have fun. So I wouldn't do this if we didn't get to have a lot of fun. This is some of the most fun I have every week. I'm not giving that up for the sake of anybody's perception of me, given their limited exposure to me in these platforms. So I don't, and then I think given the context of the work that we do, I mean, but I also want to say that I keep coming back to this. I think we are in a civilizational crisis of methodology. And as I started off explaining, my criticism of Yvette is born out of reading her work, meeting her in person, interviewing her, being interviewed by her, consuming many hours of her videos, reading the work of her colleagues, engaging them in debate and discussion, et cetera, and so forth. So to have that all be dismissed as simply not wanting to offer a solution and want to have fun teasing somebody is really frustrating. It's really frustrating. And that's why I made the little quip about having felt over the years that I've read more of the Bible than Christian believers who want to argue me to the end about my atheism. It's like I'm putting in the work to try to understand where you're coming from, and that the fact that I disagree based on an actual understanding of your argument should be taken as respect, not as disrespect. So that I just want to, and then, last week it occurred to me while I was thinking about this in the humor side of it. Last week we played a clip where one of the co-founders of this platform went on another platform to publicly condemn this show, when that co-founder started the playfulness on this platform with the meme wars that I used to love. He was the one that put my face on Michael Eric Dyson and put Kamau on Prince and was doing so the idea that even the realist revolutionary can't have a little bit of fun is, we're missing the plot. We've lost the plot, or we're missing the point. So I just wanted to quickly make those few points, and then I'm happy to have you have the last word, and we can move on.
Yeah, Alfred, go with your last words, and then we'll continue on.
Okay. Again, I came on to check out the program, and I asked a question. Your interpretation that a question was disrespectful. I didn't call anyone out of their names like was being done on camera. I did not ridicule anyone. I didn't say anything about your positions being any type of I made no ridicule about your positions at all. I asked what was the solution, because you were specifically talking about her approach with ADOS and things like that. I'm going to again say that I am not with ADOS. I do not subscribe to what they say. I learned about ADOS recently, like a few years ago, and it's a bit preposterous, and I can't even go into all of why I think it's preposterous. What I will say is that I noticed that in a segment of some folks in movement spaces, they don't believe in incrementalism. It's all or nothing. And I think one of the things that Diallo said was something like that. Now, I'm not saying that I don't think that if you can do exactly what Diallo's saying, which is, mobilize all people everywhere, that have been victimized by imperialism and overthrow the system. I'm not that far from believing in that's what we need to do, but how do we do it, right? So my whole point and my reason what I was asking was, what's the alternative? Because if you can actually take some feedback from somebody that does not watch you every single week when you go into 3, 4, 5 hour segments, because there are a couple of times that I've come in and that is how long it's going on. I don't do that, but I do watch regularly enough that I have seen this. I've seen from the beginning of a segment to the end of a segment, or multiple segments, and some that were connected to prior weeks. And I see that there's a lot of focus on.
Stop moving the phone around.
I'm not moving the phone around.
It's going in and out.
Okay. I mean, I wasn't set up and prepared to do a live stream this morning. I was just here to watch. But what I'm saying is what I will say is that I think that, again, what my original comment was, which caused me to be the the object of like all of this extra ridicule and vitriol that I didn't. And no, I'm not playing Karen. Somebody's in the comment. I legitimately am like, what the fuck? Now, what I was saying is that if you're talking about what doesn't work, what's wrong with that argument, I would really appreciate an alternative of, okay, so what's the alternative of what this person is talking about? Because there's this assumption that everybody that is here or watching is in the same space and on the same understanding or level as you are. There's, you know, like there's people that are in academics, there's people that are on the ground, you know, working. There's people that are just in their homes that see something that's not, that they don't agree with what's going on in their community, in the country, whatever, and they want to figure out ways to do things about it. And so, no, it's not your job to try to figure out where everybody is, but it would be helpful to hear more about what your actual alternative ideas and solutions
So
are. I just don't hear enough of that. That's all I was asking and saying. And I'm not trying to be victim.
We appreciate. We do need to,
because I can't really hear. But
we
real
gotta
quick,
move on.
Yeah, just really quick. You said you're not really, and this is just yes or no. You said you're not really familiar with ADOS as a movement, correct?
When I say I'm not familiar with it, I mean I don't subscribe to ADOS. They're not. That's not what I am. I'm not ADOS.
Yeah, just a quick yes or no. So you know them well enough to know that you don't subscribe to them, right?
Yes.
Okay, and do you understand or support Pan-Africanism?
Yes, I do.
Okay, so right there, you actually know the alternative. So coming on asking for what's the alternative, it sounds like you already know the alternative. But again, I think we should, you know, maybe carry.
No, I appreciate you coming on. I just think, but I do think I think we laid out the distinction and the alternatives as we offered our critique. So, but I appreciate you.
But Diallo,
you know.
Diallo called me disrespectful for asking a question. And he
I don't think that's not what he said.
I didn't think he said that. I think
you can rewind the tape. He said I was disrespectful.
No. He said
but that's not why he said it though.
He said you came on and saying to be respectful, and he was trying to explain what respectful will actually look like. And again, as you said that we might have I don't know if you said dismissed you or whatever you were saying, and it was relative.
He said I was dismissive.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, those are perspectives, and you're right, it's on the tape. But we do know that you know alternative already, because you said you disagree with them like us, and you agree with Pan-Africanism like us. So part of the solution will be organizing for a Pan-African movement. So I mean, I don't even know what the dance was, but again, appreciate you for coming on, and you know, welcome back anytime when we have, you know, a lot of people to come through.
Thank you.
All right, so you know, that was an impromptu, and the Q&A joint had, you know, y'all quoting radicals like y'all ain't sitting cozy in your home with the flower pants and all that shit, which is interesting. But yeah, so
where else should we produce? Are you saying that we should have? I feel like doing a Diallo. So should we be going to our Elon Musk sponsored Rumble studio, as opposed to the cozy home that we're in? Is that what the argument is? Or should we be broadcasting with our mobile what is it? Like the IED equivalent to mobile hotspots as we roam through the sewers? I don't know. I mean, I hear you. I get the contradiction. I don't know, but I'm not sure what else we would be expected to be doing right now. And
being cozy and radical.
Is YouTube academia in the woods right now? Are you listening in the sewers?
You shouldn't have no stable housing. You should just be.
Why is radicalism a contradiction? We don't support that hustle and grind and don't sleep. we are just diametrically opposed to the concept that you have to earn leisure.
Oh, by the way, that was the point, right? That was the point of the name. Yeah.
Just by existing, you are worthy.
Right.
I think coziness and comfort, that's the whole reason we're outraged, because of the level of discomfort and that it's not afforded to everybody. What are you talking about?
Everybody deserves to be housed.
That's why, you know, don't listen to nobody in the colonial wig.
All right, Kenyatta.
And I know it's a nice 4K image, but you know that is also green screen. I don't know if that makes a difference if somebody thought that is like.
No, that's your shit back there. What's that?
Okay, yeah.
Computer back there. You got a pot of gold, a safe.
Yep.
You didn't see the fireworks earlier.
Yo, so Kenyatta, thanks for the $10. A few weeks ago, I told my father, who was once president of the Pan-African grassroots organization that folded into the WPA, about ADOS. His response was, "Weren't we all enslaved?"
Yeah, listen, that's called my boy. You know nothing about that.
So again, there might have been a consistent spurt. I don't know if y'all seen ADOS climb, falls, trending, or whatever, but Musa says, in reality, the ADOS politics are spreading very rapidly, and this could be instructive on how to address them. I mean, I think there was a pretty solid clips in here.
Prosperity gospel spread rapidly and collapsed under its own contradictions.
Mm-hmm.
Anytime, you know, if you and I to promise tomorrow, hey, you follow us, there's going to be a big payoff on the other end of this movement. Yeah, and it's easy to get people with lies and deception. So this is a quality over quantity thing. There's very low quality, and then they got high quantity. So
it's interesting. One of my favorite YouTubers is a brother from LA who goes by the moniker Birdman. And he started doing this great series in a critique of the very popular white CinemaSins platform, where they often are wrong in their critiques of films. And I think what he does is great. And one day during one of his shows, he, in his commentary, which I often agree with, he's an atheist, so I always at least appreciate that. And I like his analysis of popular film. Especially the comic book stuff that I don't know as much as an expert. So, but one day in commentary, he said something, I can't remember the exact phrase, but it was something congratulatory of ADOS. And I actually wrote a comment, and I said it was an older video, so I said something like, I hope you've advanced, past that, because I love your video. Or something, just a one-liner like that. And he actually responded and aggressively defended his ADOS position. And it's to this day disappointing, but to me, it's an example of how these ideas, this is a more direct example per se, but these ideas do spread. They are taking on a life of themselves. They are popping up in popular spaces. They are platformed and either directly by the algorithm or they're indirectly platformed as other people in this way carry the water of that messaging, even if they're not necessarily aware of the foundation of the origin of the movement or a full range of politics of it. So I would like to think it's not as much of a concern, but I'm unfortunately I can't. I think
so. One more, Musa. The internet makes things feel intense. It seems she's genuine. So hostility on either side isn't necessary. Yeah, I mean, I think sharpness sometimes happen.
So, but again, I understand how it comes across in short pieces, but again, I have very direct hostile engagement with her. Like she and her crew have. I
think he was talking about Afro though. He wasn't talking.
Oh, my bad. You're right. Afro, I have no real issue with. I just think not at all. I just think she. Well, I mean, I agree with your.
If I got something to say about somebody, I'm gonna say it directly. If I have questions, I'm gonna ask the actual questions. I'm not gonna ask a different question pretending I wanted an answer to a different question.
Okay.
Well, we're gonna get this, Diallo. By the way, this is going to turn into saying that was a patriarchal attack. I see.
No, patriarchy would say, "Oh, she's a woman. We shouldn't even engage with what she has to say."
That don't matter what it will say, but
man. Speaking of which, I might have to. I finally think I found the wall on my Cam and Mace show, man, because Mace actually was asked a specific question and said he cannot abide a situation. He was asked, "Can a woman coach an NBA team?" And he said, "I cannot abide any situation where a woman is leading men. Women should never lead men in any situation.
He's a Christian.
I
Everybody
know,
loves
but
Christianity until some Christian shit happens. He trying to stay out of hell. You go to hell
but
following a woman.
it's not that I've thought he was this wildly progressive dude. I don't go there for progressive politics, but I need certain politics to be kept subdued. And he doubled down on it the next day and everything. I think oh man, I think I might have to be done, man.
Why? You didn't know he was a Christian and a minister?
Again, I said I just need, it's the same way I used to feel about white shows, and I just need them to subdue during the time we engage publicly certain politics, and then I can get by in my contradictions in commercial media. This one was him. He shattered the myth I was creating for myself by doing that.
So back to the Africa's point. Here's why you probably shouldn't come to YouTube to look for anything serious, because no namers, no pictures, nobody with their content out there could just say whatever and don't even know. Like most people don't even know what the fuck is going on here, why, where, who, but they just comment shit. Like, if they are serious about what they are doing, they will lose their individual levels of high comfort to expand the ability of all working class. Like
oat milk lattes.
Listen, I would give you all a little bit of money in my bank account for you to come and show me my high comfort. Now there might be comforts, just like every other human comfort, but
or do what we were accused of not doing. Be specific. What does that mean, and what are you doing to redistribute your relative levels of comfort? So, like, what would that mean exactly? What exactly? How far do we go? Do we go to the point where, like, you know? So I mean, but that's cool. But to your point, right? There's
anyway.
You watch a few minutes of somebody on YouTube, you know everything you need to know about everything about their whole life.
In solidarity to the peasants, I'm going to reduce my organic oatmeal latte to once a week instead of twice a week.
But see, that's part of the contradiction. But if you are not spending the $20 on your oat milk lattes, what the money distributed, the peasants who are pouring that latte will not have jobs, and those peasants will remain in peasantry forever.
Let them eat tofu. the peasants want bread. We as the vegan elites, let them eat tofu.
Get your soy lectin.
So before we go, I think ML said she wanted to pop in real quick, but before we go, Diallo, wasn't there some? I read a little bit of it. You said the Trump situation. You have faith in Black people again?
Yes, my faith in Black people have been renewed. I was down on Black people because y'all been critiquing and tearing down liberalism and didn't tell Black folks that conservatism wasn't a viable alternative to liberalism. And so I see conservatism, just like as in the ADOS movement, conservatism has been infecting more and more minds of our people. And so I thought that the Trump appearance at Chick-fil-A was yet another example of the conservative cultural contamination. But it turns out that Trump's Chick-fil-A appearance was orchestrated and pre-planned. And those were not just everyday citizens, but they were actually part of a Black conservative student group that was founded by this, I can't call her sister. Thank you, Geechee, for reminding me. I don't want to get out here in Cornell West. This Black woman named, I don't know how to say her name. It's Michelle Montgomery. And we can go to her LinkedIn. Can I share that? Huh? Geechee, will you relinquish some of your ironclad control over the platform so I can share something? She's a Republican Party intern. She's the one that hugged Trump and said, "Mama, I made it." And so she orchestrated this whole thing. And they've even found internal communications for the Trump visit to Chick-fil-A to give the false impression that if Trump walked into a random space of colored folks, we would, all dance the jig. But the truth is, to my delight, that Trump has no interest and not enough confidence to walk into a random space of Black people. and before he appears on camera in amongst a crowd of black people, it has to be handpicked Negroes in a curated space and a pre-rehearsed response. So, you know, and I'm going to sit here and say I was wrong and calling them a gaze. It was a gaze of coon, but I really thought this was a random appearance. I got tricked too, and I've been on Jared all morning for being tricked by Yvette, being tricked by that ball chaser. What's that ball chaser's name? What's that dude's name? The chicken nuggets.
Steph Curry.
Steph Curry, my bad. I thought I was on mute, my bad.
But so anyway, yeah, I was tricked. And I was really
that's like, the article. So this the article you shared?
I didn't share an article, did I?
Yeah, you sent it in the chat by the grill.
Oh, I sent it in the chat. Okay, because I was reading an article from the Washington Times, actually. Yeah, so it was staged. Black folks, we ain't that far gone.
This picture don't even look. This look like a black man dressed up as Trump.
You know, but Trump got more sense than I give him credit for, because he would not walk up into a black space or a place populated by black folks, just roam up in there. So that was all staged. It was premeditated by black Republican operatives, by black conservatives. And she runs a student groups across Atlanta, Clark Atlanta, Spelman, and Morehouse called Conserve the Culture. And Conserve the Culture is actually promote conservatism and conservative agendas and platforms amongst black students. So it was staged. And so many mainstream media outlets did report it as spontaneous, as black people chowing down on some Christian cult chicken, and Trump just strolled in out of the blue.
So when the article, you know, explain about people how they compartmentalize or feign compartmentalize issues, and Trump is not an issues-based type person. So when you think about this black Republican lady who is, I guess, trying to garner more support of Trump, you know, what comes to mind when you think about, I guess, her objectives? And then even like the material conditions that will mean for black people, because even some of the polls that said on there that there's not an upswing in black support for Trump. So
right, and it was an act of desperation that even some Trump supporters and Republican operatives says this was an act of desperation, and so I think that's good. You know, I hate that man's guts and want him to fail in all his endeavors, including his endeavor to trick black folks, and he didn't fail in that one. He tricked me. You know, I'm over here, you know.
Just one.
So, you know, I finally can relate to Jared. I have to. And somebody paid me a ransom to lay off Geechee. So I'm going to lay off Geechee because somebody paid your ransom. But I'm also going to lay off Jared.
Who paid the ransom? Shout out to those people who, you know, who stopped the...
somebody paid a ransom and requested that I leave you alone.
It's probably Dr. Mingo.
That'll buy you at least.
It's probably Dr. Mingo. That's the only solidarity I got at that damn house over there.
They sent Diallo to his Bitcoin.
No, it better not be Bitcoin, or else I'm not. No, that U.S. Tinder.
Oh, $5, $4.99.
And Yvette don't play with nothing but the U.S.
Man, listen, we supposed to have the link up so we can get the resources going to the event. Y'all.
I think we haven't. Do we have somebody in our guest? I think somebody popped
in. Yeah. ML about to pop in right quick.
That's ML. Okay, word. Right on.
Before that, can I say something? We do need to talk more about black conservatism, even though, like the reports are saying, a very small.
I thought you told us no Tika. I thought you said don't speak about Candace Owens. So
I didn't say Candace Owens.
That's black conservatism.
Ku Klux Candace Owens. I didn't say her. I'm talking about conservatism that inundates and infects our community, because we are all vulnerable. So and like I said, because the vast majority of us vote Democratic, the vast majority of us are manipulated and misdirected by the so-called liberal party and the Democrats. I understand our tendency to focus on liberalism and the Democrats, and the Republican Party tends to be low-hanging fruit, you know, where you're just restating the obvious. I understand that, but there is also a strong conservative ideas, values, policies that many Black people and many of our greatest leaders, from Farrakhan to Dr. Fubar, that are staunch conservatives, including, and I don't even go into the celebrities, the rappers from Ice Cube to Kodak Black. So I do think we should take it upon ourselves to give a little more time to identify, critique, and deconstruct conservatism and conservative policies and figures.
He did. F to Signify did do a great video on it. And I'm not just saying
I saw that. That was good.
Because me and Two Black are in it.
That was good.
One of them.
Yeah,
but he did
I think we need to do more, because there are a lot of components. Like, a lot of Black people can't take Trump as a whole, but there's a lot of elements of Trumpism that you'll find in a lot of these so-called conscious revolutionary Black individuals and organizations.
Right. I mean, I'm looking into it more. I'm trying to write something on it, and but that's again part of my argument around buying power, Black capitalism. A lot of what we argue here, it's even ADOS. It's old white conservative politics that are getting rebranded and getting a resurgence, getting new life. But
and then it's neo-conservatism, you know. And there are some people that when you say, yeah, I don't support the Democrats, I don't support liberalism, they immediately go to, we need to be conservative. We shouldn't vote Republican or libertarian, you know? So, or constitutional.
Yeah, every time I say something about Biden, even in class, I have to follow it up quickly with, I'm not advocating Trump.
Right. You got Cuddly Mike sitting endorsing the NRA.
See, you be calling everybody names. That's what gets us in trouble. Cuddly Mike, Fubar.
I see them.
All right, let's
bring ML right up real quick. Sister ML, peace to you. Can you hear us?
Good morning. Good morning. Can you all hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Loud and clear.
Okay, I'm gonna stay off camera. I'm literally just waking up, so my apologies. But I wanted to pop in for a moment to talk about something going on next Wednesday in DC. And I know Dr. Ball is in that area and a lot of people that listen as well. So, first, you know, a lot of people don't know me. I'm ML Smith. I am an organizer, an advocate. I run a couple different organizations, including Missourians to Abolish the Death Penalty, as well as Missouri Justice Coalition. So my work centers on prison issues in Missouri, also nationally as well. But next Wednesday in DC, we are holding the Free Her March. There is an organization, a national org called the National Council of Incarcerated and Formerly Incarcerated Women and Girls. And this organization has helped so many women across this country who are incarcerated, as well as families who have, family members who are incarcerated. And so what they do is, you know, from advocating to close down prisons and jails, helping people get clemency, just so many things. They also helped me when I was incarcerated. And so this is an org I'm really close with, and they're having their 10-year anniversary march in DC. We are demanding that this raggedy ass president do something that he promised that he was going to do. And, you know, I just heard you, Dr. Ball, talk about when you talk about Biden, people assume you like Trump. Fuck all of them. You know, I don't know. I'm just fuck all them people. They lie, all of them. I wouldn't vote for Biden or Trump, you know, in my worst time. But I think that right now, the Democrats, you know what, the Democrats are worse because they promise things, and people are very much indoctrinated by their rhetoric, right? With a racist like Trump and other people who are on their face racist, you know how to deal with them. But people like Biden or those folks that MLK talked about in the jail, when he was in the jail in Birmingham, about how, you know, these white folks are worse than the KKK. And so I put Biden in that camp. But he promised when he got elected that he would grant clemency to people. He promised also that he would get rid of the federal death penalty. He promised a lot of things, that he would fix what he did back in '94 with the Truth in Sentencing Act. He promised a lot of shit that he ain't done, right? And nobody's holding him accountable for those things. Even before the situation in Palestine, I was on some fuck Biden because he implemented this crime bill against our people right? And now everybody like, oh, he great, he progressive, whatever. No, he the same person got our folks locked up. So I'm very much anti-Biden as well as anti-Trump. But like I said, we're going to DC next week to demand that he do what he's promised, including for a woman named Michelle West. Michelle has been in prison for 30 years. It was a nonviolent crime, and she basically was some conspiracy shit with drugs. And her and so many other women are still doing decades in federal prison behind the things that Biden did, in the 90s. So we are demanding
I'm
the
sorry,
release
you
of
said
Michelle
30
West.
years for a nonviolent drug-related crime? I'm sorry, you said
Yes.
30?
Yes, Michelle West has been in prison over 30 years. A lot of times when women, say for instance, a woman's husband or boyfriend is doing, selling drugs, doing the things that they're doing, when they're caught and the prosecutors come to the women to be witnesses, if the women don't turn on their men, they get it worse. I literally know women that have been in prison 30, 40 years behind not snitching on their men. And that's happened with Michelle and so many other women. We were just holding a watch party for a friend named Danielle Metz. She did 23 years, and it was a conspiracy because her husband, was selling drugs, and she wouldn't turn on him once he got caught, and she never did anything, right? So it's very much women are often penalized more because they won't snitch on their men. And so so Michelle West and so many other women have that same story, right? And we are demanding the release of Michelle and other women who are incarcerated federally. This is something President Biden should have been and did, and he has not. So we definitely invite people to come out. I believe the march starts at 11 Wednesday at the AME Church in DC, and we're marching over to Freedom Plaza. And we're going to have a lot of speakers out. This org, and I definitely invite people to support it. Online is called the Council .us, but the Council for Formerly Incarcerated and Incarcerated Women and Girls, it is an amazing org. And I know earlier there were some issues on, and I just woke up, so I didn't catch it all. But a woman came on and we're talking to you all. And I know in the past as well, you all have caught a little heat because quote unquote ain't no woman on the show. But I know all of you, Geechee ain't married, but I know you all have women in your lives and support women's issues. But I do think that the incarceration of women goes by the wayside, even with women. Right. I see Black women every day talking about desirability and who don't want them and what men gonna pay $200 to go on a date and all this other shit. But y'all not talking about the Black women who are in prison. There's an 11-year-old little girl in jail right now in Lafayette, Louisiana, who's been in jail for several months. I don't see nobody yelling about her. But every other day I wake up, I see people talking about asinine shit that really it don't matter if somebody paying for a date. Who cares? You ain't free. Your people ain't free, right? There are Black women and mothers sitting in prisons that are suffering, and they need advocacy, and they need you to speak up for them. So I really get frustrated with my sisters, and I do call them sisters, right? But I get frustrated because we think we worried about the wrong shit. And we're so indoctrinated by what white folk told us we supposed to have, and not the fact that they've taken our liberty and our freedom. And so that's always, me. I'm always on incarceration and the oppression of our people in these cages, because I was a Black woman in one of these cages at one point. And so I advocate for Black women and women in general. But next week we'll be in DC, and I really would love people to find this org, the National Council, support them, and really get involved with the fact that this country, this president is holding women in prison for decades, and we need more people screaming and upset about it.
Just real quick, I appreciate what you were saying, but just to be clear, Afra wasn't getting at us particularly for the issue of gender as much as political analysis, approach, and criticism. But I appreciate your point.
I get it. Yeah,
I did want to just to clarify again. What time next Wednesday on the 24th are you asking people to gather? And I heard you say the march is going to Lafayette Square in DC, but where is it? Where are you asking people to start, and what time are you asking people to get there?
So the march is starting at the AME Church. I believe it's on M Street. You know, I'm not familiar with that much of DC, but it's the AME Church on M Street at 11 a.m.
Okay.
is when the march will start. So of course, people will be gathering before that, and it's going to march to Freedom Plaza, which I believe is about a mile away. And so once it gets to Freedom Plaza, there will be some speakers and you know, people talking about Michelle West and other women who are incarcerated. There will be some legislators that will speak as well. I'm not quite sure. I think Ayanna Presley is going to be there, but there will be some elected officials as well. And there are also some meetings with other Congress people that are happening outside of the march. But the march will start at 11 a.m. at the AME Church. And like I said, I believe it's on M Street in D.C.
Yeah, there's the Metropolitan AME Church, and I looked it up. It's 1518 M Street, Northwest DC, as I'm sure what you're talking about. And just to add a little weight to your event, I think I'm going to try to get down there and add one more elected official to your roster of gatherees.
Well, you know, thank you, and bring the girls as well. Bring your daughters. You know, all of we
if I
college
can,
kids and.
You know, because you know that the Hickory Ridge Village Board has a lot of power. So I just want to let you know when I come through, I don't want to make anybody feel kind of way when I come through with all that strength. But
all that power.
But yeah, you know, I don't want Miss Presley or anyone to feel a kind of way when I come through with all of that. But yes, I definitely would like to get down there, and if I can, I will bring the girls for sure.
Thank you so much, and everybody listening, if y'all in the DC area, please join us. Like I said, we have to come in unity and in one voice about these issues. And of course, there will be many men there. So it is an organization focused on women, but there will be many men, and they fight for men too. They actually do advocate for, you know, men as well, but they focus on women. But please, you know, join us, you know, and the organization's hashtag is Free Her. And so, you know, that's what we've been screaming for. And the women who started this org were incarcerated in federal prison in Danbury, Connecticut. And a group of them got together and decided that they're not going to keep allowing this country to incarcerate and cage our women and not say anything. So I have issues with organizations, this nonprofit, you know, complex. I often talk bad about this nonprofit industrial complex, but this particular organization is on the ground across this country doing work for women incarcerated.
Right on.
So thank you all so much. I appreciate the time, and you know,
anytime.
I appreciate it.
All the time, anytime. Come on through. It's always good to hear from you, and at other times to see you. We understand, you know.
Yeah,
you were ready today, but you know.
For sure, I'll definitely have to come back and talk about. If you see my thumbnail one day, I'll come and talk about that. My state has over 100 people that die in our prison every year, and nobody's doing nothing about it. So I have a campaign about triple-digit deaths, and I go across the state trying to get support from everybody about the literally over 100 deaths in Missouri prisons a year. So maybe I'll come back one day and talk about that.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay. All right. Y'all have a good morning. Thank you.
You too. Take care. Peace.
Wow. Okay.
Our run sheet ran away from us. We ain't got shit else.
No, we don't have anything else. Rob is funny. Rob, you had a chance with the link, bruh. You had a chance to come through with the link and give us your solutions.
What solution
Get that
is he
check.
referring to?
Diallo, I don't think he like you. Your number one fan should have came on there to defend you, because I don't think that dude like you.
But yeah, definitely shout out to ML and all those doing that kind of good work. With and I would like to, I put it on the calendar. I'm gonna see if I can get down there. I would like to get down there. I had to run from. I covered the DMV that day, Baltimore to DC. But okay, so are we sharing any announcements or the flyer and all of that for we want to invite folks to come on out to celebrate Malcolm X's birthday live with EYL in Baltimore. Are you pulling it up? Am I pulling it up? What are we doing?
But Diallo, you got it on hand or no?
I sent everything to everybody. Lord.
So what I did, this is really the only reason I have a website at this point is so I can keep my own life. It helps me stay organized. So what I did is I put all of this on. I will share what I have here, which has all the information. That so 5/19/24 live in Baltimore. You can what I'm going to do is, I don't know if there's a better way of doing it. What I liked about putting this on my blog is because all the links are in one place. So you get the link if you want to support the GoFundMe, and then the link to the Eventbrite, which is here. Okay. And then you can see Sunday, May 19th, 5 to 11:30, Nomu, 709 North Howard Street, Baltimore, Maryland. Gonna have a meet and greet. Live show begins at 6 o'clock, then 8:30 to 9, dinner meetup. Yeah, that's too late for me. I can't eat after 6 o'clock. I don't have the metabolism for that. But I'll just sip on something, and then we might go hang out, I guess, somewhere else. So yeah, the two of you are you have all the metabolism necessary for all of that late night dining. I can't mess with it. So, but yeah, no. So that's it. So I'll make sure all of these links are in the show description for this show. But for now, if you can just make your calendar available, put the note on the calendar and come on through. There should be some merch if you want. There should be, good in-person communing and solution building.
So you can see that Jared does follow the Sabi diet. He follows the Sabi diet in Lila, Africa. He don't eat after a certain period of time. His body's in cleansing, detoxing, and he eats. You break your fast. What time? What time you eat?
It depends. Usually not until. Well, I have a handful of blueberries in the morning. Which still promotes the fast. Well, because I also have to have something to go with my vitamins and a little medication I have to take. And then now because I've gained a couple pounds, so now I'll probably just have some fruit for lunch and maybe a light, I don't know, maybe some rice at dinner, something like that. But everything is around 5 o'clock, nothing after 6 until around 7 a.m., 6 a.m. the next day. So get 12, 13 hours.
I don't start eating until 12. But my
noon.
Me instead till 12. But in terms of late, and I try not to eat late, but sometimes shit just be shit.
No, I can't. That's just the recipe for being close to 300 pounds.
Yeah, I was shaking his head like, I eat all day, every day, the whole time.
I'm grown. I do what it should. My whole childhood, people telling me what I could eat. I could eat. I'm grown.
I gotta see. Boys don't eat that. Why? Boys don't eat. I don't eat noodles. I'm a grown man.
Exactly. If I want to eat at 10 o'clock at night, if I get up at night 3 in the morning,
no way.
But I can't. I am packing on the pounds though. I am paying the price. So don't be like me, children. Use me as a cautionary tale.
No, the Blood Honey though asked about it. I do have to. I have to be. If I have to always be hungry, otherwise I will be very fat. That's the only way. I just can't. It is what it is.
Point, man. Where's the Epicurean spirit?
Fat is not fun. I don't think you've experienced it. It's not.
I've gained almost like 25 pounds since the pandemic, since quarantine.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I used to be hella active. And then when I was sitting down those days, man, yeah, I'm heavier than I've ever been at any point in my life. You know,
Wow.
so I suffer too.
No, I'm lighter than I've been. I haven't been this light since I don't know, like high school.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I was, but in the Navy though, I was a good, like, the number don't matter. I was a good 235, 240. I'd have kept that. I'm like 215 now.
Damn.
And I would much rather have that 230, 240 that I had then. But that was,
I'm heavier than I've ever been at any point in my life, even when I was lifting weights on the daily when I was in college.
Lifting weights on the daily. You?
Yeah, when I was in college. I worked the weight room. I worked at the student center on the student income.
But you lifted weights.
Yeah, I was lifting them because I couldn't lift them because I would have to put the plates back on the thing, and I couldn't do it. And people would be laughing at me, and I was the weight room attendant. And I was like, maybe I should start working out so I can, and I kind of.
Boy, ain't no way, boy. Boy, ain't no way, boy.
I never got big, and that was in my raw food fruitarian days. So I didn't really get swole, but I got strong. I could, do the job. I had to dry mop the gym floors and stuff.
I still lift.
Labor. I didn't go to college for that.
I still get my lift on. Even I can be out of the gym for years, and then my bench press is still always going to be on top. So yeah, I'm a worker outer for real.
You and Bushwick Bill.
I can't anymore.
I used to, for real. I literally used to
you and Bushwick Bill.
Listen, in my football years, I was benching 315 at 175.
That's pretty good.
I was never like.
That's pretty good.
I was just trying to lift.
Yeah, I was
back on the rack without trembling. That was my only goal for working out.
I was 260 and got 435. That's the best I got. And that was after my shoulder went out. That's my proudest moment, actually. My shoulder had been dislocated, still to this day, never been operated on. It's still 405 off the rack. I had to have someone break the 435 down, up, back. I'm still proud of that. I'm not going to front.
That's some weirdo stuff
but
to me. I don't know nothing about that.
It is, but that's a long time ago now. I can't. That's a long, ever more distant than the rear view mirror.
I feel inspired. I'm gonna get back in shape.
Hey, we gonna have a workout session when we go to Baltimore?
No,
0 chance. Not one chance of that. I will take a walk. I take walks.
Okay, let's walk around Drew.
I walk. I can walk for days now. I'm a good walker.
Okay, how about this? We can either bike or walk Drew Hill.
I cannot bike. I will walk it.
What the hell is wrong with y'all?
My back, fool. That was what I was saying. Somebody said they're happy being fat at 240. What became a problem for me is 10 pounds on the gut is 100 on the spine, and that that's what the doctors broke down to me. You got to be. I could do some yoga.
I got a free yoga class.
I'm not doing no yoga. Listen.
Leave
me out of the weird shit. Listen.
Diallo, no, I'm about to expose you. I'm about to expose Diallo.
Geechee.
I'm gonna expose you if you don't be quiet. So okay, we trying to find some events to do in Baltimore. Yeah, didn't Diallo suggest that?
I was planning on landing and then getting out, breaking bread with y'all, but now y'all trying to.
No, tell the truth. What you was wanting to do. Let's just, since we being transparent.
I want to go on a wire tour.
A wire tour. This nigga trying to get robbed on a wire tour. Some random.
You want to go to the white part of town and do yoga? I want to be in the trenches.
No.
It's black yoga spots.
That's right. The yoga I'm doing is in the hood at Umar Boxing Gym. My sister Michelle Stafford is the teacher. And we do it off North Pennsylvania Avenue.
That's not a spa, and you ain't doing yoga. That's called stretching in the gym.
So you saying black people don't do yoga?
Instant and be like, yeah, I can.
Remember, Geechee, this is coming from the weightlifting Diallo.
Listen, I didn't say I didn't do yoga. I've taken yoga. It didn't.
Watch this. I'm about to. Let me find this wire tour. Let me show you what Diallo was about to do. He's literally about to get robbed. Yes, she was.
No, they got Marcy Projects tour hip hop tours to take you
Yeah,
out
of
to
course they
the
do. Come to the
art
projects. Come take the tour of the projects.
Come and see how the other side lives.
Hey, look at this tour, man. This the first thing he want to do is kind of Baltimore get on. So this is a Diallo tour.
I shared that link with y'all.
$39.
Sold out already. That's how popular it is.
$39. Voucher accepted, right? Sorry. Oh, it's already sold out. Diallo probably got the last one. Wait,
because
this
they
the
can
one?
only rob but so many. You can't, if you got 40 people standing there, you can't rob them all. So you got to keep the group small.
Lunch? No,
Y'all
no.
doing
You ain't gonna be
yoga.
here long enough to eat lunch. You
When
get
y'all
robbed
doing
that way.
yoga and bench pressing. And while y'all doing whatever that shit is y'all plan on doing, riding your bike to the yoga, I'll be out seeing historical sites, taking in the architecture and culture.
Not historical sites, though.
Yes, it is.
I can take
It is
you to
historical.
St. Paul, where all the black business. It's like 160 black businesses on St. Paul.
But walking around Baltimore couldn't in fact be its own Wire tour, because I have actually met the brother that played Marlowe walking around the streets. He was just sitting there reading a book, and I was like, "Oh, what's up?"
I don't want to hear somebody's personal struggle. I want to hear the fiction. I want to get lost in the fiction. I don't want some brother to be like, "Yeah, this is where my cousin was actually shot." I can do that here. I can suffer here. There's enough suffering in my own hood. I want the fantasy. I want to go see the shipyard where the white boy got taken out by the Greeks.
We ain't gonna get to do nothing fun doing Diallo.
I don't want to keep it real. Keeping it real is exhausting.
Look, Chris said hit him up. He got you.
No, I don't want to do no local stuff. I don't want to hear about your cousins and aunties, and I don't want to hear about that. And you see this show, it's I just want some levity. Can I just fan out? You know,
Chris may
if I go to Marvel Studios, I don't want to hear about real life heroes. I don't want to hear about firemen, and I want to hear about the superheroes. So I want to see the fiction. I don't want to see the real suffering of my people. I want to see the fictionalized, dramatized suffering.
Actually, I got to be on a panel once with Big G talking about The Wire at Howard University once.
Right.
Met go-go legends talking about Baltimore and The Wire at Howard in DC. That was,
down in Georgia, they got the Walking Dead tour. You want to go look at actual corpses? No.
Right. This is what I thought.
Oh
people in Baltimore don't mess with this show, man.
I say let the people speak. So whoever's donating, when you donate, put in the little chat what you think we should do, and whatever y'all decide we should do, that's what we're gonna do.
Never appreciate spot. When I first moved here to Chicago, I was showing cats spots, and that grew born and raised here, and they'd be like, "Damn, where you hear about this? People don't appreciate. Y'all got a gold mine there. People don't appreciate what's in their own backyard." I figure I come to Baltimore and I want to see some of the sights.
So Afra, I know we don't end at 10, but I got you. You can always come back to the channel and get clips. We often will clip segments of the show. So you can go to the EYL playlist and maybe you can watch shorter segments specific to a topic. We've been doing a little bit better with that lately. So but I think Afra does have a point. If Geechee would come back, I'd like to confirm that we could rap and break out and everybody come. Make sure you have the bell rung. I am not sure what's coming up on the platform later. I'm not. But I do have. No, I'll do that. We can. I have a moment of zen. I want to bite from the Daily Show and have us go out on a moment of zen, if that's all right. But later today at 7 o'clock, actually, we got Black Miss Podcast coming out. Tomorrow we got Saturdays with Renee at 11, Warrior Class at 1, and another Warrior Class at 5 tomorrow. Then we got Sunday's Chat at 7 o'clock Sunday, followed by Sunday's Radio with the Ear Doctor Sunday evening. And more coming up the following week. Sundiata on Monday. Got something in the evening on Monday. So Make sure you have the bell rung. You don't miss anything. And anything else you want to say, fellas, before we get out of here? And I'll leave us with this moment of Zen that I think we should all leave on a happy note.
Yeah,
Anything?
yeah. So we are actually finishing up Cooperative Jackson Redux.
Barter and Build.
Yeah, Barter and Build think tank. And then
Link in the
if
show
you're in Atlanta, there's a demonstration that we got going on. 2:30, come through. But yeah, that's about it.
All right, Diallo, anything?
The Wire was a good show. Stop hating.
All right, good people. We will be back next week. I'm gonna let us leave with this here. Enjoy this. And we will see you next week with more Earn Your Liberation. Peace, everybody. If you're willing to fight for it, as long as Fred Hampton used to say.
You got the outro?
What'd you say? I got the outro coming after this. Stay tuned. I'm gonna be patient. But I just thought we needed the AI outro.
All I know, this looks like somebody shooting and somebody running. What's going on here?
Well, I'm saying we're gonna have this little bit of fun and then get out of here. Let's go.
All right. Oh, shit.
He tased himself.
Who is this guy?
Tase somebody else.
The black dude look like, oh, that ain't my problem.
Keep away. Why is he standing here?
And the girl he was chasing ran away.
And he tased himself?
Yep. Tased himself. That was
let me
it.
get that real quick. That was too quick.
I saw
that was too quick.
I couldn't
well,
see
go
it
back
too.
and watch the go back and watch the replay.
Right.
All right, everybody. Peace if you're willing to fight for it. Exactly. He was rolling around on the street, struggling. He was trying to reach out for him.
He said, I'm dead. I know I'm dead. I'm bleeding.
All right, everybody. Peace if you're willing to fight for it, like Fred Hampton used to say. Catch you next week. Thanks again, everybody.
You got to earn your liberation.